If you've ever been waiting for the snow to start falling so you can officially usher in the holiday season, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We are back for another episode of Benzinga's Market Edge Live. Happy Tuesday morning. It's a T3 Tuesday. We got a lot to cover here today. Let's roll. Good morning, folks. Great to see a whole bunch of you coming back here. Happy Tuesday. Hope you all had a great Monday evening. If your team played last night, hopefully you enjoyed the football game last night. Jonathan Cooper, it's great to see you here this morning. Chuck, great to see you as well here this morning. Good morning to everyone else that is joining us. I definitely want to break down some of the bigger news stories. We do have some earnings here. This morning, we've got Derrick Oldensmith from T3 jumping on here in a little bit as well. So lots of stuff to cover. Good morning, Gary. It's great to see you again. Good morning, Tom. Great to see you again as well. We're going to have plenty of time for tickers, and there's definitely some movers here today that we're going to discuss. So be sure if there's any stock that you want to take a look at, let me know. We'll go ahead and break them down before we get to the open here. Good morning, White Chocolate Mocha, Russ, Big Bees, Harris. Good morning. Yeah, I like the reggae inspired music too. Our producer did a really good job. Putting some of that music to some of those things. So awesome stuff. River, JJJ, good morning. Let's go ahead and start here with the SPY. Bring the charts on screen here. So SPY, we're still holding above that 9-day simple moving average. We're right above it here. SPY's a little bit weak here today, down about a point, just over a point here. S&P futures down about 0.25% here in the morning. One of the things that's going on here is that SPY is lower today. There were reports that long-range missiles are being authorized for use in Ukraine for strikes on Russian territory. This has caused Putin to alter his nuclear doctrine, and that tension over there in Europe is likely leading to a little bit of a soft open here. We'll see what happens when the market actually does open. See if the dip buyers step in here. Obviously, the big event of the week is going to be the NVIDIA earnings tomorrow after the market. We had Walmart here this morning, which we're definitely going to take a look at. We have a couple of other earnings here that we're going to take a look at, but that's basically what's going on with the SPY. The levels, unfortunately, are not different than yesterday because we really didn't do a whole lot yesterday. We actually ended up having an inside candle. Yeah, I know, Big Bees. Happy trading day. Throwing around nuclear doctrines and such. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, regarding the SPY here, we had an inside day yesterday, and we really didn't do anything. So we're still sitting above the 9-day moving average. We're still sitting above the 582.30 level. And really, if we're going to go back to the upside, maybe breaking this candle, maybe we get a gap fill up here to 593, currently at 587. So really not a whole lot. SPY's just kind of hanging in there. And we're just kind of waiting for those earnings. So we'll see what the volume was like today. The volume yesterday on the SPY was terrible. It was something pitiful, I think is the right word. I think it was something like 29 million when we finished up yesterday. So just no good. Not a whole lot going on here. Maybe people are getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday next week. We'll see. But that's basically what's going on here with the SPY. Really not a whole lot to cover, and just because the levels haven't changed and we haven't taken out any key levels. We've kind of sat around in there. So that's what's going on there. Some other big news stories this morning or from yesterday that are affecting today are going to be this one here with DJT, ticker DJT, the Trump Media Group, and then ticker BKKT backed holdings. You could see yesterday, I mean, just an absolutely massive up move. If we look inside, we can really appreciate what took place. Stock was just kind of hovering around 11 and a half bucks. And then right near the end of the day, we got a humongous move. There were multiple halts, I think something like 6 or something halts like that on BKKT. Went into the after hours, traded up in like another $6 in the after hours. And actually this morning, it's held a lot of those gains. So we actually do have a pre-market range here right between about 32 and 37. So a $5 pre-market range. We're definitely going to be taking a look at this one out of the open and into the regular session today. So this one for sure in play here today for a trade. Now, the news here, Trump media in reported talks to buy the crypto trading platform Baiynd, I think it's pronounced BAKKT. That is what sent the shares soaring here. So again, rumor here about buying a crypto trading platform. Crypto has obviously responded to the U.S. election here with Trump winning. Since then, crypto has been absolutely raging. That's actually kicked up a lot of our other crypto names as well, especially Coin. Coin is another one that's really kind of traded higher here. And we did have some news yesterday. This is actually doing a really good job here in the pre-market, despite the soft S&P 500 here. Coin, though, Trump and Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong are reportedly in talks over cabinet appointments. So it looks like the CEO of Coin also getting involved here. That's also sending the stock higher. So again, BKKT, this is the big fresh one. That Coin news was out earlier this morning, but it kind of ties into this. So I definitely wanted to remind you, BKKT going to be the big one here today. I'll be looking for just kind of a simple channel trade on this today, not an investment by any stretch of the imagination, just a short-term trade. We'll be looking for a breakdown or break out of the channel and then a potential retest of this channel. If it stays within the channel, we might be able to play that too. We'll see how it goes when the market actually opens. The other stock that's obviously impacted by this piece of news is going to be ticker DJT. That's going to be Trump Media Group. You can see that this also popped yesterday when this news was released. Volume was extremely heavy. Went into the after hours and drifted a little bit lower, but kind of stayed there. Today, actually drifted a little bit lower still. We'll see if it can hold this 30-50 level. 30 would also be a level. It kind of found some support here yesterday in the intraday session when it came back in. So we'll be looking for DJT here. I think as far as trading goes, I'm going to focus a little bit more on BKKT than DJT. We'll see if one gives better trading opportunities. My gut here, assessing this before the open, is that BKKT is really going to be where the trade lies here today. So we'll see if we end up getting that. But that's basically what's going on here. That was the big news from yesterday and really kind of affecting these stocks here today. The other big piece of news was going to be about one of our favorite stocks that we love to take a look at here, and that's going to be SMCI, Super Micro Computers. Ticker SMCI. Super Micro shares are trading higher after the company announced the appointment of BDO USA as its independent auditor and the filing of compliance plan with NASDAQ. So if you've watched CNBC for more than 3 minutes, especially in the morning, you've probably seen a commercial for BDO. The people that know BDO is their tagline. And they just repeat that over and over again. This is good news in the sense that they're able to find another auditor. Great. They definitely need that. And one of the things here is that Ernst & Young, generally speaking, one of the best auditors in the space. And they got rid of them. So we'll see what this means. Now, the stock here responding positively to this, as you can see, got this news in the after hour yesterday. Stock ripped up, took actually 3 legs up in the after hours. It's taken 2 legs down here in the pre-market. And that has left us here at just shy of $28. So SMCI likely to be in play here again today. If we want to review some of that news here, let's see if there was anything else. By the way, don't forget, we've talked a little bit about this. 13 has reminded you folks a lot about this. SMCI might also move with NVIDIA's earnings. SMCI, a big customer here of NVIDIA, and with their accounting issues, not totally sure that NVIDIA is getting paid. So we'll see if that comes into play here. I think that's basically it. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here with SMCI. I just wanted to see if there was any other news since this news came out yesterday. But no, Looks like it's the same. SMCI holding higher here by about 30% in the pre-market. If we take a look at the daily chart here, I mean, we've been talking a lot about some of these SMCI levels. I know we kind of dipped into the teens for the first time here. We were talking about maybe a potential $15 to $17 level for a potential long on SMCI. Never really got down there. Stopped at about $19, and it does look, at least right now, it does look like the bottom's put in. Again, we'll see what happens from some of this news and what happens with their earnings and such, but nice little pop, nice little move, and that happened on volume. This has kind of reset some of our RSI too, not in complete oversold territory here. Okay, I held SMCI. Let's go, Keith. You should be rewarded here today. Big B is saying that is huge. Redmaster sold my puts last week before all of this happened. I'll tell you what, you folks are really getting it done. Amazing. So let's have another good day here. Let's see if we get another type of trade here in SMCI. Maybe we get one in the opposite direction here today. So that's what's going on with this. Let's take a look at some of the earnings here from this morning. We're going to start with the big one. We're going to start with Walmart. Here's your daily chart for Walmart, and wow, what a move on Walmart. This thing has been extremely strong. It's had a great 2024, and lo and behold, here we go, another earnings beat here today. So top and bottom line beat for Walmart. They guided higher on sales growth. If we take a look at the 1 minute chart, you can see exactly what happened here this morning. The initial reaction here was actually a pull down to 84. We went higher, took another leg higher. We're sitting here at about 87. Looks like the high print here at about 88. Some of the stats on the earnings report here, as mentioned, it was a guide higher on sales growth. They saw 4.8 to 5.1% versus the 3.7 to 4.75% estimate. So looks like they raised above the top end of the range there. Also saw 5.5% revenue growth in the last quarter. So pretty good despite the company and its size. Pretty good performance there. New all-time high here today when we open. It's a new all-time high here in the pre-market. When we open here, it will result in a new official all-time high as we're up 3.65% today. But the one thing that I wanted to mention here, I wanted to kind of draw your attention to, look at how extended we are on this chart. I mean, normally, especially if we look at the history here, Walmart is it's got a lot of shares outstanding. It trades pretty thick, and it normally stays pretty close to some of those moving averages. And right now, we seem to be at a pretty huge discrepancy. So if I just eyeball this, we're almost 21% away from the 200-day moving average. And that's not a normal occurrence here for Walmart. Now, we had Matt Malley on yesterday, and one of the things Matt Malley said was that if you take a look at the monthly chart for Walmart, it is extremely extended. And boy, oh boy, is it ever. Monthly chart, the 200-month, we are 63.5% away from its 200-month moving average. I don't think I've ever seen Walmart like this before. This does feel extended. The RSI here on a monthly time frame here, 86, totally overcooked here. I imagine at some point this stock really has to come back in. I actually am looking at this to kind of trade, just to buy some options for this, for maybe a regression back to the mean. One of the other things that I'm going to suggest for those of you that stick around for Anne Marie's show after the end of Market Edge here, we're going to ask about Walmart for a potential trade here, because I really think this could really kind of come back in, and this could be fairly lucrative. So Walmart here, good earnings, beat on the top and the bottom line, raised guidance, a lot of good stuff there. But this chart just looking pretty extended here. So Walmart, this is kind of what I'm going to be planning here or looking for here today. If I get a position, I'll let you know. That's what's going on here with Walmart. Let's see. Is Save officially on the pink sheets? No, not yet. We'll see what happens when it does. Maybe it'll be a fun trader when it gets there. You'll have to let me know. Have multiple call swings on SMCI. Let's see what happens. Well, it's an interesting morning here. Can we take a look at MO? Yeah, I'll add that to the list here. We'll get to that a little bit later. No problem. We could also do that with GSAT. I know GSAT has been making the rounds recently. Might as well take a look at that as well. Announced an intent to transfer common stock listing to the NASDAQ Global Select Market. Okay, we'll take a look at that when we look at some of the movers here. But all right, let's keep rolling with some of the earnings plays here. Got about 15 minutes until we bring Derrick on from T3. I want to take a look at Lowe's next. This is going to be ticker LOW. Now, we're going to start with the daily chart here. Remember, Lowe's was part of our hurricane plays. So when we had Milton and Helene hitting the south of the United States earlier this fall, there were several hurricane plays that came into play. Generac probably being the biggest one. Home Depot was another, and Lowe's was, of course, another as well. So I just want to bring that up because this report, they were kind of running into that report already. You can see here on the daily chart, we had a really nice end of September into October. We did sell off and we tried to make a move back towards the highs, didn't quite get there. Now, as far as Lowe's goes, it was a top and bottom line beat here today. Let me go inside so we can take a look at the 1 minute candles. Top and bottom line beat with a slight guide higher in the higher end of the range. Comparable same-store sales were minus 1.1%, and Lowe's in their report mentioned that this softness was from do-it-yourself big-ticket item demand. So it seems to me that some of the bigger tickets, probably some of the bigger or better margins here, not as much of a demand. Might have been people kind of focusing on smaller projects going into the winter, and then maybe smaller projects really kind of dominated what was needed post hurricanes. So in any case, that's what they're attributing some of the softness here to. Lowe's down not even 1.5%, down 1.2% here in the pre-market. We'll see where this ends up going here today. This has been a pretty big winner recently. It was actually sitting right, actually it's coming right back in. It was sitting on the convergence of these two moving averages on the daily chart. This is going to be your 9-day moving average and your 50-day moving average, and those are both converging at about 267.75. So it was sitting right there. We're currently now with this pullback in the pre-market, we're currently at 268.51. So if we come in to that 267 number, or 267 and change, I wonder if the stock bounces here. If it moves lower, probably have the next downside target here at about 260. So we'll see if either of those end up hitting here today. That's going to be on ticker LOW, Lowe's. JJJ mentioning that Bitcoin running up nicely. Indeed, it is. Bitcoin's been great. And again, with some of the news here regarding Trump Media Group potentially buying a crypto trading platform that should be buoying crypto. I know when we take a look at some of the movers, we'll take a look at some of these smaller crypto stocks as well. We can even peer into the chart for Bitcoin a little bit later. So awesome. Next on the list here for earnings is going to be XPEV. This is going to be one of the Chinese EV makers. So here is your XPEV daily chart. I know that this one's fairly popular with our group of active traders here. They're reporting earnings here. XPeng shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 EPS sales and issued an upbeat Q4 delivery guidance. All right, projecting 44.6 to 51.3 year-over-year revenue increase. So that's what's kind of going on here. Top and bottom line beat. Delivery guidance was 87 to 91,000, which was up 44%. So 91,000 total deliveries is what they forecasted here in the guidance. Looking at the daily chart here, this is actually some pretty good trading action, right? We really kind of came off this, what looks like a double bottom here, pretty strong double bottom here. We've had one impulse move that we back tested, filled the gap that we made, held, and then moved higher. Now it looks like we're moving higher still. So 1370, our current price. This was a previous resistance area going all the way and support area, I beg your pardon, going all the way back to 2023. So this area right here, definitely an important one. Can we hold this? Can we take it out? Can we generate some more buying interest? If so, that probably puts 1572 in play here. If we break down, I would want to see what happens at this 1255, right where that 9-day moving average is. So good news, good earnings here on XPEV, and some pretty clear targets both above and below if we're going to trade this one here today. So really good stuff there. SYM, yes, added to the list, no problem. Archer, 2 upgrades. Yes, we will add that to the list too. Good morning, Izzy. It's great to see you. Ken, great to see you. Keep smiling. Love the handle. Love the energy. Great to see you. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. Absolutely. It's great to see you again as well. Really good stuff. Let's keep moving on here with the morning prep. Next one we'll talk about is FUTU, ticker FUTU. And this is going to be FUTU Holdings for those of you that remember. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Wiss. For those of you that remember the Moomoo Small Account Challenge, that was actually kind of a fun challenge. I generally speaking don't do well in small account challenges, and I don't care for them because I started with a small account and I don't really want to voluntarily go back there. But nonetheless, that was a fun challenge, and Moomoo actually had a pretty good platform. The stock here can be wild. This can kind of be a wild stock to trade here. Taking a look at the daily chart here, we're about flat, up 0.2% here today on the back of this mixed report. They missed on EPS. They beat on sales. Paying clients are plus 33.1%, so they're still growing here. Total users plus 14.4%. That's an important number because one of the things that I had said before when I was actually trying the app is that even if you don't have a funded account, the app actually provides really good value. It's easy to use, it's fast, and it has a lot of really good information in it. So not surprised to see that number continuing to climb there. Also, though, client assets up 48.1% in total trading volume plus 74.7%. So not only are they adding paying clients, but they're actually adding client assets at a faster pace than adding clients. This tells me that a bulk of their clients or majority of their clients are actually doing well. And the trading volume increase confirms the same thing. So customers are doing well here. They're using the product more. That's kind of what's going on here. Taking a look at this daily chart, with us being about flat, we were up 0.2%. We're now down almost 0.1%. This thing's basically flat here. Really, the only thing for me, I want to hold this 50-day. That's at 91.5. Let's call it 91.33. Let's call it 91.5. And then if we break beneath that, you can see that these bottom wick candles that go to about 87, this actually lines up with just about the $86 high here for this gap. So 86 to 87 is going to be a fairly significant support level if the stock comes into that. It's only 5 points away from where we're at. That would be one of the downside levels to watch. Otherwise, a pop of this 9-day moving average at 94.75 probably sends us higher here. Wouldn't be shocked if we found a little bit of resistance at that round 100 number for however long that lasts. Then 105 and 112 going to be your next levels above that on ticker FUTU. Not one that I trade very often, but when we talk about some of these China names, this might be one we should start to look into. I blame myself for not looking into it enough, but we'll see. This is actually in a pretty good spot here. Pretty good spot here to trade. Okay, I'm playing a small account challenge as I'm just starting out. Look, everyone starts somewhere, so learning how to trade with limited capital is definitely a good lesson. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but when you start there, voluntarily going back there, not the most appealing thing in the world. That's kind of the spot that I find myself in. But nonetheless, really good stuff there. Sean Michaels, hi Benzinga. I told you I bought MSTR at 325. I sold at 395, made $3,300. I'll tell you what, Sean, it's never too early to start with a register ring here. MSTR, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm adding it to the list because you brought it up. We'll definitely take a look at that. But one of the other things here is I actually got a great little clip of a podcast yesterday that was sent to me by one of my trader friends here. And I thought it was fascinating. It was basically Michael Saylor breaking down how they can borrow money for free using bonds and leverage and all. I mean, it was fascinating. It moved fast. It's not something that I normally do. But I do want to share it with you. And because you brought up MSTR, let me go ahead and grab that link real quick. I'll throw it in the chat here. At some point today, definitely check this out. This is a pretty sweet video. And for any of you that are interested in MSTR, you might want to know about some of the things and how they work here. I know someone had mentioned that Bitcoin was running up nicely. I think that was JJJ earlier today. Indeed, Bitcoin actually traded right up to the 93,500 handle on the futures chart before kind of pulling back here, holding pretty nicely at 93,000 on the futures chart. So with Bitcoin moving, MicroStrategy is going to do very, very well. One of the things that came from this video they were talking about with MSTR is that, in some, and I don't know the specifics of this because I'm obviously not there, but in some European nations, you can't buy Bitcoin, I believe he was saying, but you can buy MicroStrategy. So you can expose yourself to Bitcoin moves by buying MicroStrategy. That actually kind of leads into it. The one thing I will say here is that the stock looks really, really extended, but this stock, you have to know going in, this stock is extremely volatile. In fact, in that clip that I just posted there, Michael Saylor talks about that. He talks about how there are a lot of investors that don't necessarily have an appetite for this type of volatility. But that's what we're seeing here in MSTR. This thing's a monster. I definitely want to start trading this more than I have been. No position yet, and I'm still in the phase where I'm kind of developing a feel for how the stock trades. Again, wild swings, really don't want to be caught on the wrong side, especially using a little bit higher size. That would be rough. Jonathan Cooper saying, yes, Ryan, I'm in the UK and can only get stocks in tax wrappers. So again, this is exactly what Michael Saylor was talking about. It does make the bull case here for MSTR a little bit stronger. He just bought, I think, like $4 billion in Bitcoin. He has a plan to buy another 40-something billion in Bitcoin. He sees Bitcoin going to, I think, 13 million a coin at some point. Just a lot of really kind of crazy targets in there. At the end of the day, despite all of these crazy targets and despite all the talk and despite all the stuff about this, it's obviously going to be tied to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is making volatile moves, you can expect the same in this particular equity. That could be great for trading, kind of make your stomach turn if you don't have an appetite for volatility. So interesting stock, interesting stuff there. Definitely need to get involved with this more myself. And I'll keep you posted on that journey. Okay, we got about 4 minutes here until we go to Derrick. We did have two more earnings. I guess we'll go ahead and check those out real quick. First one here was actually WKHS. This is Workhorse Group. Now, the earnings weren't out earlier. These are okay. This is aftermarket here today. Got it. That's why they were out. So this is the reason that I wanted to add this here is because this is kind of one of those smaller stocks that I know our group has really traded frequently off of the scanner. And so when their earnings report comes out, it's likely going to move that. It's likely going to be in play, and we want to have all those stats. I beg your pardon. This actually does not report till after hours here today. So really, really good stuff. Let's go ahead and bring on our T3 guest. Remember, we're going to be talking with Derrick Oldensmith, Vice President of Trading and Education. Be sure to trade with Derrick here. Get his free trade with Derrick for free, in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor from November 20th to November 22nd. QR code right down there at the banner. Let's give a special welcome for Derrick Oldensmith. Derrick, good morning. How you doing, my man?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. Look, I love T3 Tuesdays. I love you prop guys. I think you guys have an extreme edge in the market here, and I can't wait to talk to you about that. I do briefly want to start off with your morning routine here because we had Scott on last week, and I asked him about his morning routine, and he launched into this whole thing about the sauna and preparing and all of that. I got to know right off the top here, do you have a crazy morning routine like Scott does?
I'm not jumping in the cold plunge. I'm not doing the sauna first thing in the morning. When I can, I like to get a little bit of exercise, a small 30-minute workout or a short run. I do think nutrition and vitamins are important, so I do try to eat healthy in the morning, and I have a cup of coffee as soon as I wake up. But I start my process for my morning research every day between like 5:30 and 6:15 a.m. depending on when I wake up. So first thing I'm doing is I'm assessing how we're gapping. I almost always have swing positions on. I've
Mhm.
got 28 or 29 swing positions on from yesterday through today. So I'm just managing, where those positions are per my game plans. A bunch of things are gapping down this morning, so I use that as an opportunity to further dip by some of my longs. So I go through a pretty long morning research process. I work with my team, the virtual trading floor that
Mhm.
your guests have the opportunity to join me in for the week. We get news in there every morning, all the earnings reports, analyst upgrades and downgrades, a ton of macro research. So I'm combing through all that every single morning to come up with ideas. And that is a couple hour process. And then at 9 a.m. is when I do a morning meeting for the team every day. So my morning process is not, jumping in the cold plunge or the sauna. I do try to get the workout when I can, but I'm more market focused in the mornings.
Well, everyone's a little bit different, right? And everyone's formula for success can vary slightly. So I think it's important to cover all of that. Sounds like you do a lot of research, and you're right. You kind of don't have a whole lot of time. You have a finite amount of time before the market opens there, and you're doing several hours of research prior to the open. So really awesome to see. Derrick, would you mind telling me a little bit about your top-down approach that you focus on?
Sure. So I'm a big believer in starting with the big picture and then working your way down to the small picture. I think that
Awesome.
even if someone is a pure day trader, which I no longer am a pure day trader, the first several years of my career, I exclusively day traded. I never kept positions overnight. But even if you are just exclusively a day trader, let alone a swing trader, you're going to have a higher probability of success if you're trading in the direction of the bigger picture. If you're trading in the direction that the market itself is moving and you're trading in the
Mhm.
direction that the daily chart of the stock that you're looking at is moving, you're going to have a higher probability of success. So I start big picture down to small picture. I start with the indexes, the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell. I'm analyzing the technicals on like a daily chart initially. Then I break it down to a little bit of a smaller picture. How are we gapping this morning? How do I want to position myself around that gap? What are my expectations for the day? And only after I've done all of the market level technical and fundamental research do I then dive into individual stocks. So
Mhm.
now it's like, all right, I understand the market's telling me I want to be buying the dip. I want to be, looking to go long here. All right, now what are the best stocks to do that in? What's showing relative strength, what has news, what's near a breakout level, what should I be involved in on the individual names. That's kind of the process that I work through every day.
Okay, that's awesome. One of the things that you were talking about a little bit there is time frames and how you assess what a stock or what an index is doing based on different time frames. Can you elaborate a little bit on time frames and how those matter to the trade and how they actually affect your decision making?
Sure. So time frame continuity is an
Mhm.
important layer of probability, and that's a loaded term, layer of probability. So to take a half step back and break down things even further for some of your listeners, trading comes down to risk reward and probability of success, right? That's the magic formula of trading. Risk reward is generally pretty simple. It's simple math. I'm looking to risk 10 cents to make a dollar, whatever your risk reward is on that trade. Probability of success is much more difficult. It's much more dynamic. There are just so many influencing factors that will affect any position that you're getting involved in at any time. Those influencing factors, the term I use for them is called layers of probability. All of the different things that will affect the trade while you're getting into it. One very simple example is the market. If the market's moving higher, and you're going long, you will have a higher probability of success than if the market's moving higher and you're trying to short. Everything else out equal. So then we want to go through all those different layers of probability. One of them is what I call time frame continuity. Am I getting the same message from the stock that I'm looking at or from the market that I'm looking at on every single time frame? Is the daily chart telling me higher while a 15-minute chart is telling me lower? Well, that's not time frame continuity. So what's more important to me? What wins there? So a lot of what I try to do as a trader is I study the daily charts to tell me what I want to be involved in. And then I look at like 5 and 15-minute charts, smaller time frames for how to execute those ideas. What that can enable me to do from a risk reward perspective is have small time frame risk from a 5 or 15-minute chart, but daily chart level reward. If my day trade works out, I keep that position overnight, maybe now I'm getting into a multi-day move. So I actually tend to not really think about risk reward ratios very much in my trading, because I think with the principle of understanding time frames, again, where I'm able to put risk on a small time frame, but look for reward on a daily chart, the risk reward ratios will naturally work themselves out and be in my favor.
Okay, awesome. We are talking with Derrick Oldensmith, Vice President of Trading and Education at T3 Live. Be sure to trade with Derrick for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, November 20th through November 22nd. Go ahead and scan that QR code to get rolling there. So you were just talking about timeframes, which is awesome because that's something that I do as well. I'm constantly looking to see, okay, if it looks good on the daily, what does it look like on the hourly? What does it look like on the 15? And if all of those time frames line up, giddy up, that's probably the stock that I should be trading there. One of the other things that I know about you is you're big into tape reading. And this is also something that we do, especially when it comes to day trading. Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe your best lessons from what you see from reading the tape on a daily basis, whether it's an index or an individual name?
Sure. So one thing I really tell people nowadays, so I have a really strong background in tape reading. When I first started on the physical trading floor at T3's office in 2010, 2011, I was surrounded by traders who were really, really good tape readers. And the way that I learned was just by listening to them speak and following along with the tape on the level two as they spoke to try to just to learn. And that's how I picked it up over time. Tape reading is still a useful skill in certain situations. It actually helped me big time in a Palantir trade at one point last week, which is a name that I want to briefly talk about with you at some point today. But broadly, I think that tape reading as a skill is not as important as it used to be, because the algorithms that are the primary execution traders for a lot of the big funds that are moving stock are better than they've ever been at disguising what they do. So tape reading can still be a very useful skill in certain situations, particularly IPOs, news events, after hours, immediately on an earnings report after hours. It can help with execution. It helped me big time with it with this Palantir trade. Trying to remember which day that was. That was on November 13th. Above $63. The stock ripped up to new highs, got into $63, and I was able to just identify a massive, massive seller in the tape in the level two. And even though on that day the stock was forming a bullish pennant that looked like it was setting up to break 63, I was actually heavily, heavily shorting on the side of that seller because I thought that that seller was so heavy and so strong that it was going to cause the bullish ascending wedge on the 5-minute that day to fail. And that idea turned out to be right. And on that day and throughout the next day as well, because I got followed through the next day,
Yeah.
the trade worked out really well for me. So in certain situations, it can be important. But for newer traders out there, it's a skill that's so hard to develop these days. I think it's more difficult to develop now than when I got started because the tape isn't as clean as it used to be 15 years ago. So I tell people, if you want to learn the tape as supplementary learning, it will help you, but start with charts. Learn your technicals
Yeah.
first, learn those charts first. I think that that's actually a more important skill these days to have. And once you feel like you're a real master there and then you want to expand and develop other skills, then sure, we can talk about how to learn to read tape a little bit and how it can be effective.
Okay, there's so much good right there. There's so much good right there. When I first started, I also talked to people that were very, very experienced reading the tape. And as the years crept on, they would continue to say, man, this is getting harder and harder and harder. And I didn't really have anything to compare it to. So it's great to hear you say the same thing. Palantir, awesome example. Our community here trades Palantir on a daily basis. All different types of trades, short-term day trades, long and short. We've been long this since like the high 20s on a swing. So this has been absolutely awesome for us. Looking at the Wednesday, the 13th here, I mean, this is as clear as day that there was a sell wall there. This actually reminds me of the Amazon, the Bezos wall at 200 when he was out there shelling out stock. This looks the same, just kind of an intraday picture here. In the moment when you had talked about this kind of being a bullish ascending wedge, and in the moment, what did you see where you just said to yourself, you know what? this is definitely a good setup here to go short. This is definitely going down, bullish wedge, whatever, but I see it on the table. What specifically was it that just kind of set off that alert for you?
Sure. So again, I always start big picture down to small picture. So I got to start by looking at a daily chart. And on that day, on November 13th, when this thing was at $63, the 80 EMA was still at $56 and the 21 EMA was at 50. So, and it was also like a day 9 to the upside or so. Maybe there was a 1-day break in that. So I'm looking at a stock that is massively extended to the upside. So if a stock is extended to the upside, to me, that means, and I have rules in where I gauge that. First of all, it means to me I'm not buying it. I don't chase price. I'm not going to be the last buyer on a day 8 to the upside. So I'm not going to buy it. It doesn't necessarily mean short. It means I'm not going to buy it. However, I may consider shorting it if I feel that there's a good opportunity also to come in on the other side. So again, starting with the big picture, I know on that day, I thought that there was room for Palantir to break down, probably back down to like $56 or so, even as it was trading at 63. The low the very next day was 58.50. It didn't quite get to my full target, but it was still a solid $5 downside move. So starting with the big picture, now breaking it down to the small picture. All right, stock just rips higher in the beginning of the day once again. So now I have extension on multiple time frames. I have extension on the daily chart. I have extension on the 5-minute chart. I'm watching it very closely. In the initial move, when it got above 63, I saw a huge seller come in at 63 quarter. And that seller was disguising his or her size. It was a refreshing order. So it's refreshing very heavily at 63 quarter, and it even lifted. So and this is why I say tape reading is actually so much more difficult than it used to be, because these are smart players. It's not like 15 years ago, if that person had 1 million shares to sell, it might have just thrown 500,000 shares on the offer and said, "Here I am," and you would see that and it's clear as day. This seller sold a boatload of stock, but would come in at prices, refresh on the offer. If he was getting taken too hard, would lift, let the stock rise, come back in at a different price, or cross his order back down to the previous price that he was at. Which first I saw it come in at 63 quarter, and then very heavily at $63 pretty much for the rest of the day. So it started forming that ascending triangle. There was still underlying demand in there, rising that into 63, but 63 was that seller. It would lift, it would a bunch of buy stops would go off, you go to 63.09, and then come right back down and slam the people that just bought it. And then eventually that pattern broke down because of how strong that seller was. So it started with the big picture, and then we broke it down to as small of a picture as not just the technicals, but also the tape itself. Now, if we're talking about Palantir, I just want to bring this up because I got something that's really, really grinded my gears this morning that I want to be able to utilize your forum and any other forum to mention real quick. Something really strange happened with this stock on Friday. So Friday, the market got smoked. And I was still short because I was looking for more of a move. And I am still short today. So I want everybody to be aware that I'm talking my book here. And I'm always very honest on my trading. I got absolutely smoked short Palantir on Friday. I'm not afraid to publicly talk about where I lose money. But a really interesting thing happened on Friday. One of the one of the board of directors, Alex Moore, tweeted, and I've got the tweet in front of me, so I want to read it. "We are moving Palantir Tech to NASDAQ because it will force billions in ETF buying and deliver tendies to our retail investors. Player haters, be aware that we've been hated for decades, plural. Everything we do is to reward and support our retail diamond hands following." So on that day when Palantir ripped higher, you had this guy, as far as I'm concerned, coming out and pumping the stock. The market got smoked that day, but Palantir went higher off of this news that they're trying to get themselves added to the NASDAQ. And then you've got this guy coming out about how there's going to be tendies delivered to retail investors. Well, guess what I just found out yesterday? On the same day, the CEO of the company sold 6.3 million shares worth of stock for almost $400 million. So I'm looking at a stock here that trades at a 130 plus forward PE. and one board of the on one member of the board is out there pumping the stock on the exact same day that the CEO of the company sells 6.3 million shares for almost $400 million. I think that this needs to be investigated. I'm infuriated by it. This is completely wrong. And if you think like, oh man, Palantir is on my side. I really like this guy Alex Moore. He's here for the retail investor. You're the sucker, because these guys are out there pumping their stock while the CEO isn't a diamond hand tendies holder. He's dumping the stock at 130 plus forward PE multiple. It's just absolutely insane. We got to get the word out there. This should be investigated. This is completely and utterly wrong.
Okay, so first of all, I'm imagining that the crypto bro parlance that he was using was probably a red flag by itself, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I've seen Alex. I've watched this too. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen Alex go on. Alex Karp, that is the CEO. I've seen him go on CNBC. I've seen him openly say how much he dislikes short sellers and this and that, and kind of lure people in. So really, really fascinating stuff with probably one of our most traded stocks around here. Really just awesome stuff, Derrick. Derrick, we got more time. Is there any other stock that you wanted to talk about or cover or anything like that? I turn it over to you.
Sure. So happy to talk about the market period a little bit, because this has been a fascinating time for the market since the election. So the election happened and we had a massive upside 3.5 day move, or three in a morning day move that got this market very extended. Finally, over the course of Thursday and Friday last week, the market pulled back. It satisfied that upside extension and is actually beginning to retest the levels that it broke out from. I had been short that extension at certain points last week. Friday, I used that opportunity to cover every short that I had. I was short the S&P, I was short the NASDAQ, I was short the IWM, I was short Tesla at 150 plus, I was short coin at a certain point, and I was short Palantir. I've covered every single short except for Palantir. Palantir is the only one that I still have on my list right now, as this market has now corrected through price. And now I'm at the spot here where I'm really looking to buy the dip. So I started small buying the dip on Friday. I added a little bit yesterday. I added a little bit again pre-market this morning. I think that the seasonality of this November, December time is very, very strong. I think that the vol selling is going to come right back into the market. And you combine that with Goldman Sachs is modeling $6 billion a day in buybacks. There's just a lot of forced flows in the market right now that have me interested in beginning to build in on a dip buy for the indexes broadly and for a lot of individual stocks. So I'm looking at all three indexes at the levels that they're trading at. So for the SPY itself, it's kind of retesting this 584 area breakout that it had from the election. We're in that area right now. For the IWM, it's it's actually starting to overshoot a little bit on the downside, but it's retesting this like 226, 227 area, and it's now like day 5 or 6 to the downside. I know yesterday was an inside day. It was a little bit of a rest. So we're down 5-6 days in a row in the IWM. So I'm looking for this market to catch a little bit of a bid. I'm looking at a few things that are strong. I like Google here on a recapture of 175. I like Apple if you can get above 228 to 230. That's a zone that I'm looking at there. I like the financials, like XLF if it can clear above 5010. Note that a lot of these are if-then statements, right? If we break out, then I like them through the levels. There's a few other things that are a little bit beaten up where I'm looking for oversold bounces. I'm looking for an oversold bounce in biotech, XBI, IBB. I already have positions in both of those. I started buying them a little bit yesterday, added a little bit pre-market this morning. I also have a position in Moderna, but Moderna's kind of already given the bounce. I'm actually more of a seller as we get into 40 than a buyer. I was a buyer a couple of days ago. So I've got stuff on the radar to begin to build in to buy the dip. I think that we could pull back a little bit further. It wouldn't be impossible for us to fill the election gap, which would bring you down closer to like 577 in the SPYs, or maybe a retest of even 580. So you have to be prepared for that and manage your risk accordingly. But broadly, I think that we kind of go into an upside grind here through the end of the year as the Santa Claus effect comes in and the January effect comes in, and then we can kind of reassess the market as we get into the new year. The one thing that you also need to keep an eye on, though, that could really derail an end of the year rally is the dollar and interest rates. And we're getting a little bit of relief on interest rates this morning. I see TLT's gapping up, so interest rates are down. But if the TLT really begins to lose on a closing basis, the November 6th low, and the 10-year starts to exceed 4.6%, I think that that's something that could derail an end of the year rally. But otherwise, I'm looking to buy this dip as we pull back here for an upside grind into the end of the year.
Okay. Derrick, that is awesome. Great little recap there. A couple of things I wanted to highlight here. Smashing the like for T3. I was also short Palantir on that Friday and proceeded to exit left. Good job sticking in there. Looks like you were not alone here. Joseph, my Palantir puts got smoked on Friday, so looks like you weren't alone there. All right. Derrick, really good. I got one. I have the audience will literally kill me if I don't ask you about NVIDIA. Do you have any thought on NVIDIA with the earnings print coming tomorrow?
We'll see what happens. You know, I don't, it's so hard to say. I tend to think that the risk is to the downside just because when you look at a name like NVIDIA, it's so hot this year that if they report like in line, for example, or maybe even if it's like a very small beat, it's probably not enough compared to what investors are used to. A small beat may not be enough. You probably need NVIDIA to absolutely and utterly crush it. But you can't count out that NVIDIA is not going to absolutely and utterly crush it because they always seem to. But I would just be a little bit careful. I think the risk is to the downside that if you get like an inline report that they break this thing down pretty hard. A lot of the other semiconductors have already broken down pretty hard. If you look at like AMD, $174 or so in October to 134 last week, which is actually that's another one that I bought on Friday last week. If you look at like a Micron had a great earnings report back in the end of September. It has not been able to pick its head up after such a great report. It's gone sideways and now it's grinding lower. NVIDIA is the one that seems like it's really held in because the hype is real. The uptrend is still intact, but I do think that the risk is to the downside on an inline report or God forbid a miss. But also pay attention if they crush it again to the 150 level on the upside. 150 is a big level.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Really, really great stuff there. Derrick Oldensmith, Vice President of Trading and Education at T3. Trade with Derrick for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, November 20th through 22nd. We have the QR code on the screen, link in the description below as well. Derrick, thank you so much for your time here today. This was an awesome run around. Cannot wait to do it again. All right.
Thanks, Ryan. See you next time.
Take care. Oh, man, that was absolutely awesome. Folks, I hope that, especially this group, I really hope that you folks can appreciate everything that he just said there. So much good stuff from tape reading to levels that we've been looking at. He even talked about sometimes when you're actually reading the tape, those big offers that we're constantly identifying in some of these day trades, moving around and pushing the price around. Just absolutely awesome. Love to see that you guys were doing some of the same stuff on Palantir. They're just awesome across the board. Be sure to check out Derrick over there at T3 Live. Man, they are awesome every time they come on. Every time they come on. And just goes to show you, you don't necessarily need a cold plunge and a sauna to be set up for success in the morning. So multiple ways to get that. Keeps on. Yeah, that was great. Indeed. Indeed. Really good stuff there for the group. So again, I'm going to go ahead and throw the link here in the chat. You can go ahead and click on it. Links also in the description and also the QR code there. All right. Now with Derrick gone, that leaves room for 13. Let's go bring on my main man, 13. 13, how are you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. It was another wonderful end to the NFL week. I enjoyed the game last night, and now let's get to some trading. And we have some things happening this morning, so should have some good movement in some of these names.
Since you brought it up, I will take the floor here. I got to be honest with you. One of the first plays of the game there was like a Nico Collins 70-yard touchdown catch that got called back for a penalty. 13. I made a bet on that game last night. I made a 7-leg parlay on that game, and the only legs that didn't hit were Nico Collins' receptions, yards, and touchdowns, all of which would have hit if that damn touchdown stood. Oh my God, I had that thing pegged completely. Thankfully, I have Joe Mixon on my main fantasy team, and he lay the woodeth on my opponent. So that was pretty good. Okay. With that out of the way, you know me, one of the reasons why I'm so excited today is because there's a new episode of Oak Island on tonight, which we're going to get to. But in the meantime, we got to cover some of the market stuff. We got to set up for what is likely going to be a tradable day here. I'm not sure what the volumes are going to look like here today, but we should have some setups.
The SPY really fallen as soon as I jumped on here, so I'm sorry for my presence. But we are really leaking in the pre-market here.
Okay, I'm going to need you to really quickly never apologize for your presence again, because that's a really good thing. Here you go. So SPY is leaking here. We're actually leaking right down to that 582.30 level.
Yep.
So what's going on here? Do you have anything on this one?
I think this is from the. I want to say it might have something to do with housing starts, building permits, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case because we already saw some of that movement. I think it has more to do with Russia's Lavrov's comments. Saying that because the U.S. is allowing Ukraine to use ATACMS missiles, that they're that we're seeking escalation. Never mind that they've got Chinese mercenaries and North Korean troops coming over to help them. Oh, that's not escalation. But when we allow Ukraine to send missiles over, that's why they're saying that we're escalating and the market is pulling right now. But that's what seems to be going on. So I don't really think. There needs to be anything further looked into than that. It's really just on increased possibility of an escalation of war.
No, you're absolutely right. And when I started the show here this morning, I did mention that was the case. Putin is, of course, altering his nuclear doctrine. Big Bees and we talked a little bit about that. These Lavrov comments are actually new. Ends here. I hope it will be read. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping cooler heads prevail here as well. But we don't need World War III. We don't need World War III. Hopefully that it goes a different way. Stay focused here. Mentioning that SOXS, SOXS, ripping up here on the back of that. So you know what? This is actually a really good call. Stay focused, of which you have many. Let's take a look at some of these short ETFs. These might also be in play here. We're going to break down some of the movers that are moving right now, but some of these here, some of these ETFs might be really, really good targets here for today. Okay, do you want to start off with some of the smaller movers? Then we can kind of move into what the chat wants to see. Don't worry, we'll get to MO, GSAT, SIM, Archer, and we'll talk probably a little bit more about MicroStrategy as well. Okay. But let's do the small movers. Let's get the lay of the land set. I'm not sure what you covered here. I'll go ahead and start here with this first one. This is going to be PRFX, ticker PRFX. The name of the company here is Pain Reform. Pain Reform shares are trading higher. The company announced a 1-for-4 reverse stock split. That's pretty much the only reason I'm mentioning this. This was a penny stock yesterday. We've got news about these reverse splits. We've seen this as kind of a theme on some of these smaller, junkier names here. Stock did trade up as high as 191. It's come back in a little bit, but we'll see what happens here today. Float right now, 2.17 million. That's going to shrink when we do the reverse split here. 13, what do you got on this one? You got a plan here for this today?
Plan maybe. I might not even touch it, and here's why. The chart that we have right now looks pretty bearish to me. Like we're about to fall lower, past the 125 area pretty soon here. As I think that looks a little bit like a head and shoulders pattern. One thing about this, they do have that 2.17 million share float, and you said that they were going to do that one for 1-for-4 reverse split. That's going to be effective on the 21st. They actually also just did a 1-for-6 back on September 9th. Company still needs cash, so they're in the process of reducing the size of their float through reverse splits, and then they will likely raise cash again through the issuance of more shares. So that's the plan with PRFX right now. Like I said, the pre-market chart here looks pretty bearish. I think I'd want to see this at the very least try to find a base or at least recapture the VWAP, and then we can start looking at those upside targets with 192 being the pre-market high.
Okay, real good stuff there. I actually haven't even realized that it had recently done a reverse split. Two in really quick order there. Generally speaking, if your company is doing multiple reverse splits, something is wrong. That seems to be the case here.
Yeah, they need money.
Okay. All right. So that is PRFX. Really quickly here, Tom. So it's okay for Russia to throw missiles into another country, but that country can't throw missiles back. Well, that country can, unless they're bought from the United States, because that would then represent escalation, which is what they're saying there, just to be clear. Putin will never use nuclear weapons. It'll be the end of him. I agree with that. Unfortunately, I think it would be the end of everybody. And I am hoping that, much like the incoming administration, by the way, I'm hoping that nuclear weapons are just not used at all. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see
nuclear
that.
stocks good, nuclear weapons bad. Charles Goodwin is having a hard time reading the chart. That might be something you have to adjust with your stream settings. Try to see if you can bump it up to like 720p or 1080p.
Yeah, I would say try adjusting the setting in YouTube on your side. The charts here, I do go dark mode and I do increase the scale. So hopefully these numbers are a little bit easier to see. I am definitely sympathetic when I switch over to the calendar. The calendar, it's tough. It's like a spreadsheet type format. Charles, one of the things that I can do, if this is one of the screens that's more difficult to see, I'll make a more of an effort to make sure I read these numbers out so that you don't have to rely on that. I totally get it. I totally empathize. The chart should be okay, but this is probably a lot more difficult. If you folks ever need me to read something out or repeat it, don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to do that. If I miss it, I miss it. You can go ahead and ask again. Okay. So that's what's going on there. PRFX, good coverage there. Next one here is going to be TRNR. This is Interactive Strength. Interactive Strength shares are trading higher after the company announced its Climber vertical climbing machines are being installed in 3 locations by Arma Sports Group in Saudi Arabia. So not sure what these Climber vertical climbing machines are, but the market really seems to like the fact that they are going to be installed in 3 locations here. We did pop above 5. Looks like the high print here, 530 and some change. We've come back in. We're beneath the VWAP. We've actually made an attempt to get above VWAP that failed. So we'll see where we end up going here. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 15% of the float shorted. Kind of a negligible days to cover there. So we'll see if this is kind of squeezy. No recent insider transaction. In about the middle of 2023, there was lots of buying here. Stock was right around the same price that it's at now. So stock with these insider buys came anywhere between $3.60 and $5.70. The stock is smack dab in the middle here at $4.12. So really hasn't moved since those insider buys. Those insiders still in there. Really quickly, check here. Float ultra small. I've got a reading here of 171,000 on the float. Check me on that. 13. Is that right?
No, that's right. And there's a reason for it.
And what's going on?
Okay, so yes, the installing 3 machines in their in Saudi Arabia, because I guess Saudi Arabia is known for vertical climbing, but I guess that's the case if you're referring to the buildings. 171,000 shares in the float, and that's the result of a 1-for-40 reverse split on June 14th and a 1-for-100 reverse split on November 11th. So that's both happening this year. So that's why we have such a low float right now. We might end up having the entire float traded 100 times before the pre-market's over here. We're at 14 million shares traded on a 171,000 share float. This company does need cash badly. I don't want to say, bring up Lucid, but this is giving me some Lucid vibes. So just a fair warning there. As far as the technicals go, it looks like in the pre-market we did lose that VWAP, and as we tried to recapture it, have not been able to do that. So another one here that we're going to probably want to wait and see what it does into the open, and then we'll make a decision there. But I would think that from here we start to see it go lower into the opening print.
Okay. Good stuff here. TRNR. Okay, SMCI. So I covered this one earlier because we do have some news here, but it looks like Diamond Hotline. Ryan, please go back to SMCI. I think you were asking me another question earlier. Let me see if I can scroll up and find it here. I'll make sure I get the sorry, Ryan. You said, okay, found your question here. So really quick, just to kind of recap here, Super Micro Shares hired a new auditor, BDO. And again, for those of you that have watched CNBC, you've seen the commercials for BDO. Though the people that know BDO is their tagline. You hear it all the time. They're not as reputable as I understand as Ernst & Young, but they've done work with SMCI before. So that's kind of what's going on here. And then also they're trying to announce the appointment of BDO and its independent auditor and the filing of a compliance plan with NASDAQ. So they're trying to do the right things here. We'll see what this means. Diamond Hotline, you were asking earlier. Sorry, Ryan, you said that SMCI might reverse down. If I understand correctly, no, I didn't make a plan or I didn't make a call either way on SMCI. I think I tried to give you levels for each scenario because I'm not 100% certain on what's going to happen here. One of the things that I was saying is that our group, the Benzinga group, not just the trading show here, but also the happy hour group and the traders in our ecosystem, we're kind of waiting for a $15 to $17 level for a potential long, maybe even a little bit lower for some of the value guys. We did not quite get there. We got into the 17 handle, but we did not quite get to the lower end of that range. One of the things I was saying is it does look like maybe a bottom is put in here. So looking at that, downside levels here, first of all, if we just continue to give this up and break down, we're probably going to fill this gap on the way back down to about 22-ish, right around those levels. And then that level before or after that, excuse me, is going to be that all-time low there. I've got that at 1725. Is going to be that low print there. We'll see if we end up snapping that and then move lower into the range that we were hoping for. The other thing that happened here with this 2-day pop that's kind of going on, the volume looks pretty good. Buying volume, that is, looks pretty good. And it's really taken the RSI from totally oversold back into kind of the middle range here. That was pretty much the spot here on SMCI. Upside levels on this one, first one's going to be that $30 level. It's around $30 level and it's 4 cents away from where the 9-day moving averages. That's definitely going to be one. We also have a little bit of a gap that kind of starts there and fills up near 32 3/4. Above that, we've got the 50-day at 39. So there are your levels. Diamond Hotline. Hopefully that is helpful for you. That was SMCI 13. I know you weren't on when I discussed SMCI earlier. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to this one?
Oh, sure. I'll take the opposite side of upside. I mean, I think that we will see a push to the a little bit higher, just because we have a high short interest in this stock, and this is more positive news than what it's been spitting out lately. But for me, this doesn't really change anything. It's another auditor after they've been through what, or 2 already. So okay, and they're going to file a compliance plan with NASDAQ. To me, that doesn't really mean anything. They're going to try to prevent delisting, but that still doesn't get past the fact that they haven't released any of these financial reports, and they're 2 behind now with an approaching a third. So I would need to see something more fundamental come out of this. We need to see some figures. We need to see that they're not actually violating export controls like they've been accused of. So for me, this doesn't change a whole lot because I'll concede that it's a step in the right direction to at least stay on the exchange, but fundamentally this doesn't change anything for me. The price could also be positively affected on Nvidia earnings if they blow out. So I will also concede to that as well. Okay. But it looks like $30 has been a bit of a resistance area since that news yesterday. If you look at the price action following that announcement, that's also where the 20-day SMA is. Yep. We could get some resistance from that. The MACD is also indicating that we may be able to go higher. So I would kind of cap this move up to probably about $40 before we really start to see some resistance that could pull it back down.
Okay. Really, really good stuff there. Diamond Hotline, you should definitely have your questions answered. Okay. Next on the list of movers here is going to be a relative volume play from yesterday. It's going to be ticker HCWB, which had a really, really nice run yesterday. Whole bunch of halts. on some really insane volume. HCW Biologic shares are trading higher. The company announced a $6.9 million direct offering and private placement. Stock actually popped on this, currently sitting at 146. Did find some resistance at the VWAP, but holding this 145 area. So 13, we covered this one a lot yesterday. I don't really think anything's changed other than this private placement. What say you on ticker HCWB?
Yes, so the private placement was also coupled with the direct offering, which is what's going to actually affect the float. That offering had the shares priced at $1.03, which at the time was above the market. So that is why it's running up, because the offering was priced above the price, was placed above the price. And then in addition to that, the private placement, which really doesn't affect the float because this is kind of like a behind the scenes in the within the company, kind of a way to raise cash and issue shares that's not public. That's also going to lift its cash position as well. As far as the direct offering goes, it's going to increase the share size from the 19.75 million that it is right now to 26.72. So going to be about 26 million when this is all said and done. Still, small enough to be able to push around, but it's just going to be slightly heavier now. We have some previous levels we can draw on from yesterday. It looked like it got as high as 250 yesterday.
Yeah, 250. It might have printed a cent above, but 250 is the spot.
So we have that as a potential resistance area, and as well as the pre-market levels, which are just slightly above 2. So if we can continue to get some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, which it's been doing since we had this rally yesterday, it actually got support from that in the pre-market this morning. That's if we can get support from there, we could possibly recapture VWAP and go higher. But so that's what we're going to be watching for, is the 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Okay, and we are pretty much right there. We are only 5 cents away. This actually retested that 140-ish area, so we'll see if that 135, which is that 200 EMA on the 5, holds. Okay, really good stuff there. 13, really, really good stuff. Next one here on the list is going to be SPAI, Safe Pro Group. Safe Pro Group shares trading higher. The company issued expectations for a year-over-year increase in Q4 revenue. Stock, that actually did pop the stock above 280. We've completely round-tripped that move, but it does look like we're using both the 65 and the 200 EMA as support here. So same deal as the last one. We'll see if we trade back, maybe close the gap here to VWAP. Real quick, check around the horn here. Pretty much nothing on the short interest, nothing in terms of insiders. Stock does not have a whole lot of cash on hand. It does burn cash, but not a whole lot. Still going to need to figure something out there. And this is looking at about an 8.6 million share float. So we'll see what's going on. So we'll see how this actually trades when it opens. Excuse me. Couple of pieces of news pulled out of that earnings report. Safe Pro Group, expects 200% year-over-year Q4 revenue increase. So that number there, pretty eye-popping. We'll see what that ends up meaning. Do you have anything here on ticker SPAI? Is that one that you covered?
This isn't one that I covered, but the news that I'm reading in this is quite interesting. Don't know, I don't have a really good read on the company's financials. It doesn't seem like they really have done a whole lot, and that's also because they appear to have recently IPO'd earlier this year in the summer. But some of the headlines were pretty interesting, like this one from November 7th. Safe Pro Group detects over 10,000 landmines in Ukraine using AI-driven drones, partnering with Nebulon to restore farmland and enhance global food security. So that's a headline that reads pretty well. And you'd think that a company like this would have a better valuation, or at least a better balance sheet. So that's kind of why I have a lot of questions about why with such a great headline like this in such an important area, like in food security as well, why is it not getting more money? So this would require a little bit more of a deep dive. It looks like a pretty new addition to the exchange, so don't have a whole lot on it.
No, you're absolutely right. Real quickly here regarding that piece of news there, this also works with Amazon Web Services. Obviously uses that for its Spotlight AI 3.0. So really good stuff there. SPAI. Okay, couple of others that I really quickly wanted to mention here. ACRS was another one that is moving here that does have a catalyst. Aclaris Therapeutic shares are trading higher after Piper Sandler upgraded the stock from neutral to overweight and raised its price target from $3 to $13, currently sitting at $3.80 here in the pre-market. Also, BTIG upgraded the stock from neutral to buy and announced a price target of $8. So we've got two price targets that are at least 100% or more from where we're at here today. ACRS having a strong pre-market. This actually had two different volume pops yesterday that provided tradable opportunities and has actually resolved higher. Personally, I think that this is definitely going to try and test 4 here today. We'll see if it does it here in the pre-market or if it waits for the market to open. But that's what's going on here with ACRS. Again, a quick check around the horn, 4% of the float shorted, not a whole lot in there. Insiders were active a little bit at the tail end of the summer, but not really all that recently. Financials here has very little, it is actually cash flowing positive here and does have cash on the balance sheet. So this probably not in danger of an offering. Also here, float 59, almost 60 million. This is a little bit higher than some of the active trades that we make. But also didn't mention this when I was reading it before, but Leerink Partners also upgrades Aclaris. Excuse me, I'm gonna mispronounce this several times here today. Aclaris Therapeutics to outperform, raises the price target to 7. So this one definitely going to be in play here today. Again, that's ticker ACRS. 13. Did you cover this one at all?
No, I didn't. ACRS is interesting though because it's one of those biotech companies that actually does contract research. So companies will go to them and be like, "Hey, we have this drug that we want you to do some R&D on." They sign a contract, they do the work. Probably save some of these other companies money because they have the facilities. So,
okay,
but really, I don't have anything beyond that.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think we're ready to go. Good morning for some of the other people. Mike, it's good to see you. Good morning, my man. AC 2000. Good morning, as always. Beach Bum.
Oh, thank you. Support. Thank you, Arista Stocks, because I was going to talk about SYM.
Okay, we're actually going to move over there. We did hit the list here pretty good for some of the movers, so I think we can move over. Also want to mention here real quick, UAVS from yesterday also gapping up a little bit here today, so potential relative volume play. I don't know how much we actually need to focus on that. Market Sniper, good morning. It's great to see you. Amanda, good morning. Amanda, it's great to see you as well. Bonjour, Smoke Tuna, as always. Great to have you all here. Thinking about it, mentioning here, market tanking on Ukraine strike. What's up? We covered that. Absolutely. Looks like there's some saber rattling going on. Hopefully cooler heads prevail here, though. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to move over to my bigger chart here. We can start with SYM, as that is being asked by multiple chat members here today. It sounded like you had something that you wanted to mention here. Symbiotic shares are trading higher after the company on Monday reported better than expected Q4 financial results. Do you want to take this one, 13?
Yeah, this is probably one we want to include with the other movers because this is got a 39.5 million share float, a little heavier than the ones we like trading that are under 10 or even under 1 million. But the thing is that this has some high short interest, we're squeezing. 34.37% of the float is shorted with 12.13 days to cover. That's a very good short squeeze candidate. They have a ton of cash. They're almost profitable. So there's really no risk of an offering coming out of this company. I think this should just be one that we just identify some levels and watch how it trades. I don't know exactly what kind of price action we're going to get out of this, but this seems to be like a pretty good candidate for some more squeezing throughout the day.
Okay, real good. We have multiple price targets from today. Okay, we have KeyBank raising the price target and going to 48. We have Needham raising the price target going to 46. We have Northland Capital Markets raising the price target going to 53, and Cantor Fitzgerald maintaining its price target here at 60. Definitely some upside room here. Ticker SYM. Did you have levels that you wanted to go over?
Well, interestingly, we also had covered this at some point before because I drew stuff on this chart. This was an inverse head and shoulders that we had identified, and I think you can see it right there between August and October.
Right in here?
Yep. See that? Shoulder, head, shoulder? Yep. So we're getting that resolution. We did fill that gap back earlier this month, came back into the 20-day SMA, lost it, recaptured it, and now we're exploding over not just the 20-day SMA, but also the 500 and the 200. If we continue upwards, I would think that maybe 42 could be a resistance spot. There's a lot of consolidation that seems to begin right about there, going back to earlier this year to the beginning. And then we get out of that consolidation at about 48, to which there's going to be probably another resistance area at about 52.
Okay, real good stuff there. SYM, Arista Stocks. Did this meet your request here? Did we give you enough of a take there? Sorry for asking again. You might have been the first person that asked about it. Okay, well, at least we covered it. Let me know if that is helpful. Really good breakdown there, 13. Ticker SYM.
One last thing about this one. Keep in mind that the daily RSI is also pretty extended, almost at 72. So it could squeeze, and then we could see a pull. So just keep that in mind, that the RSI on the daily chart is pretty high.
Okay, sounds good. Next one here is going to be Archer, ticker ACHR. This is one that we've been trading a lot recently. You can see this has really kind of come off this $3 bottom. A little bit of a pullback here, testing the gap that we made, still holding above the 200-day, and it looks like it's trying to bounce here. We did mention, and actually Izzy was in the chat mentioning this earlier, Needham initiates coverage on Archer Aviation with a buy rating and announcing an $11 price target. Again, we're currently sitting here at 436. So this represents almost a 3x price target here. We'll see if we get any type of movement here. Archer down 1% here in the pre-market. This one's been a mover for us recently. I actually do hold a little bit of this. I'm not as active on trading this one, but this one has been in the news cycle. So that's kind of what's going on here with ACHR. 13, did you have any levels on this one that you wanted to remind the group of? I know that we look at Archer quite a bit.
520.
520 is okay. He didn't even hesitate, and there was really only one level. In fact, you know what I'm going to do?
Drop it in there. Drop it in there. Look at the daily chart. Look at the daily chart. You'll see why. It's been murkier since we've been getting a lot of price action since last year around the 520 area, but that has been previously a very strong and very strong resistance and support over 2021 and 2022. And I expect it was also interacted with recently in July. I think it's also going to be a resistance area again, as it was back in July when we break out of this bull flag that we're putting in. If you zoom in just to where we've been trading this month, you can see that we are trying to resolve this bull flag here. There you go. Yep. So I would imagine that if we continue with this bull flag resolution, we're going to get the price action to push it up to 520. And then what happens there, could sell, pull back a little bit, could break out. But for me, that would be a trimming area or a profit taking area.
Okay, really good stuff there. Thinking about it, asking the $64,000 question here. What is the better company, Archer or Joby?
So I personally going with Archer over Joby. Not to say that Joby isn't going to be successful too, just based on the things that I've seen and the progress that they've been making. And I think Archer is I think Archer is the better bet. Not to say that, and again, Joby I think is going to still do just as well as Archer. I think they're both worth grabbing if you want to, if you're not sure. But I like Archer better personally.
Yeah, I like Archer too. Maybe it's just because it's the one that I found first. Archer has more cash on hand, although they both have cash on hand. Archer loses slightly less money, although again, they both lose money. And they both have coverage, right? They both have about the same amount of analyst coverage. Archer, if I'm not mistaken, was a Kathy Wood.
It is
stock. So yeah, so still is. In fact, she's added to it recently. So Archer is the one I chose to hold without having any real experience with eVTOL products in real life. I can't, I guess I would say I like Archer more, but my opinion's subject to change as I become more experienced with these. So keep that under your hat. Okay.
Looks like the dip buyers came in with SPY.
Okay.
And wow, right off the 582.30 area. Like look at it. Look at a smaller time frame. It's quite phenomenal.
Yep, absolutely. And we've had that line in the sand for some time now. So really nice to see it bounce off that. Yeah.
Yeah, ever since what was it, like earlier this month, like the beginning of this month, I think. Anyway, Diamond Hotline asking, do you not consider the resistance of 479 on Archer? Let me see what you're referring to here. If you want to keep on going with that, I can take a look and see what he's talking
absolutely. Okay, I wanted to go through a couple of other stocks here. So I can't remember who asked about this earlier. They asked about ticker MO here. This is Altria Group. I believe this is a cigarette manufacturer, right? Believe that it is. So this is actually a pretty decent chart. I don't trade this, just like I don't trade Philip Morris. We are at a pretty important level here. So this one, fairly simple. If we break out from this kind of near term, maybe it's a triple top. This level, obviously very, very important. This is a previous support and resistance going all the way back to 2015, I beg your pardon, 2015. You take a kind of a longer look at this. It does look like it kind of wants to trade up. Maybe 70 is going to be in play early next year by the time we get there. We'll see. I generally don't trade this one. Sorry, I'm not sure what you wanted me to cover on this. I don't necessarily have a line on this. Let's see when it's actually due to report earnings. Just did on Halloween. Looks like a beat on the top and the bottom line that likely kicked it off here. Short interest, really not a whole lot going on. Let me know if there's something else that you wanted me to cover here with ticker MO. This does look like this is trying to trade up here, and we're at a spot. So this is likely going to move here. I'm going to stay away from this though. I just don't trade cigarette companies. Just don't do it.
So as far as that 479 area in Archer, I can see what you're referring to. That's been a resistance level for parts of these patterns we've had in the past. It's been shoulders for head and shoulders patterns. It's been the bottom of a consolidation channel. And some of these, it's actually been shoulders for an inverse head and shoulders back in October of 2023. So I don't want to say I don't consider it, but I don't think that level is as strong as the 520, which has some pretty clear reversal price action on that. But I don't want to say I don't consider it, but it's just not as heavily considered as some of these other levels. The price action of the breakout over 520, I think, is going to be a lot more immense than the break over that 479. But not to say that it won't do that. It's going to definitely break over that 479.
Tiny pie. That's why they make a market, boss. I only trade cigarette companies, prisons, and gun stocks. Someone was asking about ammo stocks earlier. POWW is one we've traded here before. I actually had that as a play coming into 2024. It never really materialized. Ended up taking a loss on that. But good stuff here, Tiny Pie. Let me know how that. I'm sure you'll add cannabis to that list too at some point. Okay. Real quickly here, several of you were mentioning SOAR earlier, SOAR. That's a penny stock that's ramping. We'll check on that in the middle of the session. Generally, we don't spend a whole lot of time on penny stocks here. ASTS is also getting mentioned here. There's nothing really going on at the moment, at least as far as I see. Stock is beneath its 50-day moving average and its 20-day moving average, so we'll see if it holds there. Kind of in this area. I mean, the support area here looks to be about 21.5. If we look inside in the pre-market, this looks to be just kind of trading with the regular market. So 13, I know that you follow the space stocks a lot. Did you have anything here on ASTS? Again, I don't think there was anything new. No, nothing new here, Philip. This is just kind of going along with the market.
Yeah, this is the question of why is it down today? Is that kind of?
No, there was no question. It was just the ticker.
Oh, okay.
No context at all.
Yeah, I mean, hold on a second. I don't have the right chart.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I do really quickly. We're running out of time here, 13. So I did want to quickly move to SNOA. It looks like a number of folks in the chat here asking about SNOA. There is news here on this one here today. Looks like it would happen yesterday in the after hours. Sonoma Pharmaceuticals receives FDA 510 clearance for microcyan-based wound care hydrogel. Oh, okay. So that's kind of what's going on here. Stock's up 28% here in the pre-market. Well, this was Monday, November 11th. This was a week ago. So no, I don't think there's any fresh news here. No, I beg your pardon. I apologize for making that mistake. No fresh news here. That was from a week ago. Well, I got fooled there. In any case, this does look like it's kind of ramping here, having a kind of an interesting pre-market. If we take a look at the daily chart here, let's see where we're at in terms of those levels. 383 going to be your 200-day moving average there. If we can get up there, we'll see if we do. SNOA, that's kind of what's going on with this one. Good mention here. Sorry about screwing up that news report. Real quickly, SF trades, I think SFF trades. Walmart was one of the first stocks that we covered here. Just to kind of recap this on Walmart, this was a earnings play. It was a top and the bottom line beat. They guided higher on sales growth. They had, Martin mentioned, it was 4.8 to 5.1%, and the estimate was 3.75 to 4.75. They also had 5.5% revenue growth. They're setting to open up here at a new all-time high. If you take a look at the daily chart here, looks extended. If you take a look at the weekly chart here, looks extended. And if you take a look at the monthly chart here, holy shit, it looks extended even more here. Matt Maley was on yesterday. He talked about this monthly chart looking extended. I don't have a position, just full disclosure. I am looking for a well-defined option play here to maybe play some regression back to the mean, play this to the short side here, ticker WMT.
We have about 20 seconds left. Jonathan Cooper's saved is not delisted yet, but it will be at some point since they announced they're going to do Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And then one quick question. I saw that it was a second ago. It seems to have. Hustle and Bustle asking about BF/A. I just took a quick look at it. We're open, by the way. I just took a quick look at it. It doesn't move very well. I don't have a whole lot of data on it, but I'll see if I can find more another day. All right.
Okay. We are open here. SOAR, this is the penny stock that you folks were looking at, hovering right about 55 cents. BKKT, that's one of the big movers here. This is actually trading up, trying to go right above its VWAP on BKKT. Spread's a little nuts on this one, so be careful. Looks like it's spread looks like it's spread about 50 cents there. ACRS, this higher here today.
Looks like HCWB trying to push up here. Yeah, Tom, we certainly tried. TRNR, that one's down out of the open. PFRX, that's down out of the open. I think those are the two we were saying. Let's let those leak, and then we'll see what they can do. SYM also going down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
IONQ, we got it, Will. Spiking here out of the gate. This is right to yesterday's candle spike on IONQ. This is a quantum computing stock, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it sure is.
Bloom Energy also spiking out of the open. That had a good day yesterday. Came back in almost to start. So now we are popping here, trying to get over $23.
Crow calling for SOAR to go above $1. BKKT, this is actually pushing here on BKKT. No position for me here. I actually wanted to see if that broke out of the channel. So far, decent channel trade here, right? We're kind of looking here. I'll just draw it on this chart so we can keep an eye on it here today. Here we go.
39.75 is the pre-market high for BKKT.
Yeah, that's off that initial candle here. I'm kind of looking at this channel. Let's call it 37 there. We'll see if we end up breaking here. BKKT, no trades yet here today. Got no problem kind of waiting this out a little bit.
Yeah, looks like SYM is trying to recapture BWAP. Very, very slow open, it seems. Not seeing a whole lot of big moves yet.
BKKT kind of flushing a little bit here, really kind of pulling back right down to the VWAP. Still kind of spread. Here is that SYM chart, a little bit of a dip, move right back to the VWAP there. SNOA, looks like that's holding at its VWAP, trying to push away. We'll see if it's able to do that. Let me reset this.
Morning, Crow. SMCI is going to be mentioned by OSNAP.
Love that handle, by the way, OSNAP. Said that 1,000 times in my life. I mean, seriously, that's
the 2000s were great.
Oh, snap. The aughts. Oh, good stuff.
SYM turned around, pushing up, looking for 40.
Costco trading higher. Interesting move here was actually Amazon. We actually printed below 200 here in the pre-market. We've actually reclaimed 200 here in the regular session. That's good to see. Amazon a little bit weak here. Did we have news on this? Goldman went to 6,500 on their S&P target for year end.
Banks going down. PLTR pamping.
Actually, Derrick that was such a good interview here this morning. PLTR, focus of a lot of that. PLTR ripping out of the open here, pretty much back to the pre-market highs.
Archer trying to get to 450. That's looking like where it wants to head. Pre-market high is 449.
QCHRs.
Just some back and forth, but ultimately sideways in the names we've been looking at so far that we had covered this morning. PRFX lower though. SYM looking for 40 here, might break it. HCWB, that is losing its 200 EMA. SYM still knocking on the door of 40.
Yep.
Next candle looks like it's going to try and take it. It's hammering it.
I tried to get filled there at 39.75. I tried to front run that a little bit. Did not get filled. An SYM, there it goes. That's exactly the move that you were looking for. Look at that. 13. What a call on that $40 break. I tried to be a little too conservative there. Just in knee-jerk reaction to the trade here. I tried to wait and get filled on the front run. That was a mistake. Ended up not getting it. We got almost a full dollar pop here. 13. Great call on SYM. Great stuff there.
Go ahead.
I was going to say ACRS. This is one off the list here. This is curling up, crows on it. ACRS looks like this is trying to go higher here.
For SYM, I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but I could see this moving up to 42. It's not sure how long that's going to take. Looks like HCWB is trying to recapture its 200 EMA and view up right now. So we'll see what happens there with that one. SYM hit 41 exactly. PRFX coming down to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
I just scalped ACRS on that push higher here. Just wanted to get some green on the screen. Very, very small. But we're 1 for 1 so far. Here's SMCI. Looks like that's trying to hold on to the pre-market low. Get some other stuff. Amazon still holding above 200. Apple tried to spike. VIX coming in a little bit.
Take a look at the SPY, see what we're dealing with here. That was quite a pull when we got that news.
Yeah, this Archer actually right at this trend line. Watch for this to maybe break above there on Archer.
SPY coming into a bit of a channel made by 2 previous all-time highs. That's going to be between 585.27 and 586.12. We might see some resistance in that in between that area.
Walmart here trading back up. 88 was your pre-market high on Walmart. Again, I'm looking for a short on that. I'll let you know if I do open it. Lunar here moving up off the open, 1140 right to 12 on Lunar.
Don't forget we have the Starship test flight 6 that's supposed to be taking off at 5 p.m. Eastern today. This will be the last, probably the last test of 2024 and their last of their Block 1 configuration. In 2025, they'll be using their Block 2 configuration.
Oh my God, I had no... Oh, Block Tua. That is, oh my God. You know, her podcast is called Talk Tua. That might
Oh
be
my
one
God.
of the better podcast names that I've ever heard. She's hilarious too.
She is.
Shout out to her. She's not, I mean, like, aside from the viral moment, she's actually a really funny person and loves animals. So you're gonna get points in my book for that. But that was a really good joke there.
The scientific community, the nerds over there, they get some pretty clever ones from time to time.
Hey,
Archer
man.
ripping up now.
I'm all for it. I'm all for science and nerd jokes. I'll tell you that much right now. Here is Archer really kind of popping there.
Yeah, might get a little resistance around 455 here. Might get a little bit of that. All right, what's SYM doing? Are we going to make another trip up there to 41?
This was a great pullback to that 65 EMA on the 1 minute. If we take a look at on the 5 minute, we were still actually pulled back to the VWAP on the 5 minute. So either one of those timeframes, again, kind of going along with what Derrick was saying earlier regarding timeframes and how important they are. Either one of those timeframes showed a bounce spot there. TRNR, this came back into the 65 EMA on the 5 minute. BKKT still looking for that 37 break. I will mention that the candle that 13 had mentioned here, that pre-market high, I think that was like 39.50. 39.50 is that pre-market high. Maybe I ought to draw another line there, and just in case we do end up breaking out of here.
SYM coming back in now. That's a weakness in some of these names.
And I'm still watching BKKT. QUBT, by the way, that quantum computing, the selling off in the pre-market, but is holding here where the pre-market open was. See if it can get some footing there. I am still watching BKKT here. Want to see if this breaks this 37 or if this really kind of finds some resistance right here, 37, and we're through. See what kind of action we get here.
Target going lower. They have earnings tomorrow morning. What is happening here? Okay, so BKKT, this one looks like it's trying to get over 37 and hold over 37.
Yep. Remember, this is the range that we're looking at here. So if it does break above this 37, I got some more resistance there at 39.50. Well, if we can maybe back test one of these, maybe it stays in the channel here. There we go. There's a little bit of a pull off that channel. That was a full dollar pull there. Holy cow.
Yeah, look at those levels. That looks nice. That looks good. SYM really pulling now.
Okay, I'm going to wait for BKKT to figure out what it's going to do here. 13, I'm going to step away for 1 sec. I'll be back in 20 seconds.
All right. In the meantime, we have Archer pushing up to 458, almost 459. We have BKKT pulling back a little bit, looking for VWAP support, at least my VWAP. PRFX looks like that's turning around after almost touching the 200 EMA, and we are getting some volume to come in and push us up to the VWAP. I'm sorry, VWAP coming up here on PRFX after reversing. TRNR, another one we were talking about. That one is trying to figure out if it's going to go lower, and if it does, it might get some support around 305. SYM kind of hanging out here, deciding if it's going to go lower or not. HCW leaking lower. Archer hit 460. In at Archer 434. Boom. Hey, you're doing good. Doing good. All right, so we got BKK to come into that VWAP. Let's see if we're going to get support there. Where's your VWAP on BKKT, by the way?
On the prop account, 34.72. On trading view, 34.34. So both in a 34 handle, about 30 cents spread.
Okay, so pretty low, a little bit lower compared to mine. So we were just getting some support from my VWAP, and we're starting to lose it. Maybe your VWAP will give the support. Archer,
I'll tell you what, that short off the 37 was the spot. Sorry, I didn't hit that one.
no worries, no worries. HCWB, this one trying to turn around. Archer hitting a high of 462 before pulling back a little bit. Looks like it's still trying to push higher. And we've got a halt now in PRFX. This is the one that I said looked bearish in the pre-market, and sure enough, we went down out of the open. Got some support just underneath $1, turned around and recaptured it. And now we're halted to the upside as we make our way towards VWAP.
Yeah, that looks like just a clean bounce off the dollar level right there into a halt.
Rocket Lab with a big move.
Okay, well, I guess we should take a look at some of the other space stocks as well. See how those are doing. Rocket Lab is spiking here. Good morning, Jay Wild. Great to see you. Replay Game Lab, welcome back. By the way, also worth mentioning, I told you guys yesterday, OKLO, this moving here again, watch yesterday's intraday high. That 2250 level might be important. Remember, one of the guys on the board here is connected to Trump now. So that could actually help. Trump's pick for the Department of Energy is also a board member here at OKLO.
Archer absolutely ripping right now. 463 now the current high. Looks like TRNR is trying to turn around, as is SYM and HCWB. So all the ones that we were looking at, all the movers that kind of leaked out of the gate here, they are trying to turn around.
Jay Harris. No, I did not say that it was going to. I was highlighting that it is extremely extended, especially on the monthly, something that we talked with Matt about yesterday, and I would be looking for entry. This has actually been pretty good off the open here. Might start scaling in a little bit here. I'd be looking for the December contract, and I'd be looking for maybe just a retrace of this candle, maybe anywhere between 81 and 84 on those puts.
Rocket Lab is going to push up to 20. Whether or not it breaks out, I don't know. There's a big wall at 1995, but the high from yesterday was 2034, and in the pre-market it was 20. Looked like about 2013, 2012. So I would imagine that 20 is going to be. We're going to try for a push up to 20, and if we do break over 20, that would be the 2034 would be my target for some pullback or profit taking.
BTC is curling here. Good morning, Jay. Seors trading. Parker's Thinkorswim indicators. God, you guys with the handles are just awesome.
Here we go with SYM. This is trying to come back up. That was a really nice opportunity to pick some up low and get back into it. So here we are trying to go back to 40. It's certainly trying for 40. Archer pulled back a little bit after hitting 463. We could get some support around the 450 area. So we'll see if that's what happens.
Nibbled a starter on some contracts. The December 83 put on Walmart. That's the deck 83 put. Just starting small. Want this thing ripping my face off here today. I'll add before the close today if this does not just completely go to the upside. Actually, if it does go to the upside, I might add a different one. Say again?
I said, please no ripping of the faces.
Yeah, no, we don't need any face ripping.
Getting a mention on BTCT. That is pushing up here, and looks like 1571 could be the next target. Yep.
I typed the ticker in wrong, so
no worries. PRFX is open, popped up to the VWAP, my VWAP anyway, and we're trying to push through it now. This is probably going to get some a big old volumetric move if it can get past 130 here. There was a large order that was in the way there a moment ago. All right, so SYM looks like they got 40. That was awesome. Might pull back here, so that might have been the one of the better trades so far today. When we got that leak in SYM all the way down to in the 36 handle, turned around, ripped right up to 41, came back in 37.50, ripped back over 40 again. So far, SYM has been giving some pretty good trade opportunities.
Okay, good stuff there on that 39. APLD getting mentioned here by Jay Wild. APLD. This is a nice little pump out of the open here at APLD.
Let's put that one on my chart here. Oops.
XIII looks like that did try to pop above the VWAP, kind of stayed there, hasn't done it yet. Grab continuing to move here. Grab, nice move out of the gate.
Oh, Christopher's getting on that Indo.
That's sounds good after a hockey game. Get on that Indo. Makes sense. SOAR, this is the penny stock you guys were asking about. Looks like this popped above 70, has kind of come back in. This is still soaring. WBuy is another penny stock. Wiss is mentioning this one. This actually just took out its VWAP. We'll see if WBuy can go higher here.
PRFX halted again, this time to the downside after ticking briefly over my VWAP. Then it came right back in.
Clean slate here. Great mention. TRNR. This was a great push off that 65 EMA. I was late to this. When I flipped over to this, I was late. This was a great trade. Whoever hit this one, great spot here. This one was good. I actually feel crummy I missed it.
Izzy, PRFX halted down this time. It was halted up before.
Yeah, this is halted to the downside, no question.
TRNR, that was a great move. It looks like it still wants to try and I don't know where your VWAP is, but mine's at 426. I think it still wants to try and tap VWAP.
Yeah, sure looks like that.
BTCT popped up to 1540 and came back in.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, Archer kind of no worries, Izzy, you're all good.
Yeah, all good.
Archer kind of consolidating up here above 450. That's pretty good. It gives us an opportunity for to just make a decision if we want to go long or sell. I still think this could end up pushing up, so just watch and see what happens with VWAP. My VWAP is right at about 450, so we start to lose that. If I was in this for that particular trade, I would be kind of setting my stop right beneath that. Don't want to lose that. Don't want to turn it into a losing trade. All right. Well, looks like SYM is trying to push higher, but remember, this is the little bit of the heavier volume one. You might not get exactly that. It really needs to get over 40 and hold, and then we can have that conversation about going higher. But it needs to capture 40 and hold above it.
UAVS, Jane, this is a good call. This just broke out. This looks like it's trying to take another leg up here on UAVS. I'm a little late to this, but good stuff if you got better entry on that, James. Or James, excuse me, Jane. Crimp Biscuit, looks like you're also on this here. Great that it's above VWAP here. The price action here sure looks like this wants to run higher. We'll see if it breaks that 435 intraday high. It's right at it there. And then speaking of level 2, we talked about that earlier with Derrick here. 445 looks to have a little bit of an order up there. Not huge though.
Good morning, Line Atlas, and everybody that I didn't say good morning to. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody. Just want to thank everyone for being here this morning. Smash up the like for us. Free way to support us and let us know that you enjoy what we're doing here.
TRNR. The MACD looks like it's curling. We're still hanging out here, and it looks like it wants to try and push up over VWAP. So seeing some pretty good indicators. You just need to see a little bit more volume expansion, get through some of these sell orders that we have here between 4 and 420. See some fireworks.
Lion, you are late here. That's okay. We docked you 5 attendance points today. I'm sure you'll be able to recover. Federico, buenos dias. Yeah, I think that's good morning. Buenos dias. Looks like Federico's hitting the gin already here, and it is almost 10 o'clock in the morning. So really good stuff.
Looks like things are just kind of like consolidating, trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
BKKT, good call here. Jay Wild with BKKT at VWAP. So far, it's holding this. I'd be curious to see if this moves towards the top end of that range there, BKKT.
BTCT, that I don't want to say they put in a tweezer top, but we have 2 5-minute candles here with each of their top wicks about the same price. That's usually not a good sign. So we'll see if it can hold VWAP. If it can't, then we got our confirmation there that it's going to come back in a little. BKKT.
I filled a little here at BKKT. I'm going to be kind of careful with this one. Just nibbled a little bit there. 34.55 the entry price there. I really want to see this push back up to that 37 level. That would be what I'm looking for here. BKKT. SMCI also getting a mention here. This looks like this reversed off 27, pushed through the VWAP. This continuing to push here. NTG mentioned this is popping here. Let me know if you guys have any type of targets on that. Be curious.
PRFX, that's open now and trying to go green here. There's a big wall at 130 has to chew through, but there's also one at 125 has to get through first. So we can get some volume expansion here. We can push through VWAP and this, as well as the pre-market consolidation.
Okay. SMCI continuing to push. SMCX continuing to push. NCNC is just a tiny penny stock. Walmart. Ooh, Walmart has come in. Oh my God. Did it? Oh, okay, but barely. I was going to say, did it actually move in the direction of the purchased order? I can't believe that. RCAT got mentioned a few times here today. Haven't looked at it yet today. Might as well do that now. RCAT a little bit lower here. Glenn giving you a target here. SMCI 32.75. Glenn, how did you get that target? Is that one of your fib levels that you have here again? SMCI, it's good 4 points away from where we're at now.
That and 30 was a bit of a resistance area in the pre-market here. I think 30 would also see, it could be one of those things where we get a break over 30. It runs to that 32.75 and then comes right back in underneath 30. And then this kind of hangs out underneath 30 until it sells off more.
PRFX going for that 130 spot. There's a big seller there. If they, I'm actually long this now here. If they take this, I'm going to sell into that. Just FYI, I'm seeing varying numbers on that ask.
Yeah, they're. I got almost 33,000.
Yep, same. It's just kind of jostling between that 31 and 37. So it looks like there are some people hiding their orders here. Let's see if they end up taking it right here.
They're chewing it.
They chewed it. Now we went through and they refreshed it. Okay, remember, this is exactly what Derrick talked about earlier, right? Where they kind of refresh some of these orders. You're seeing it live now here. PRFX and through here. We'll take the gains off that little scalp. Nice. All right. That's actually going to really help because I'm getting straight murdered in BKKT. Now, thankfully, I took this very, very small. So it's not the end of the world. But yikes. BKKT. Here you go.
Weaker resistance is 32.75 for SMCI. Sava 43% short. That thing, I think that has probably got to be the most battleground biotech stock ever, and it's been doing that for a while.
Which one?
Sava.
Oh God, that yeah. And let me tell you, there's a fight on FinTwit about that as well. There are people that say it's an absolute fraud. There are people who say it's going to 100.
That's why it's a battleground stock.
That is exactly right. Exactly why it's a battleground stock. Now, what the heck happened with my relative volume scanner here?
NR rollover. It sure is looking like it's wanting to. Still getting a little bit of support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. And we still have the 200 beneath that. But kind of consolidating here. I see what you're talking about, though. We did pull off the that level that we were at over 4 about 10 minutes ago. BKKT, this is starting to lose some support of the EMAs. So that might be heading lower. Could find support around 30.25 if we end up going that low. AI is he's just watching straight up AI. That's C3. That's one moving up as well. On what? What's the news? Let's see.
C3AI shares trading higher after the company announced a strategic alliance with Microsoft to accelerate the adoption of enterprise AI on the Azure platform. 30 prints now, above 30. This continuing to rip here.
Absolutely extended here too. Be careful. GSAT slowly upping. Yeah, it is.
I'm going to try refreshing my platform here real quick just to see what's going on with my scanner.
So you have a potential catalyst here in GSAT on December 12th when they host Analyst and Investor Day.
Stopped out of BKKT on the huge pull. That didn't work.
And you're also going to get a reverse split. They announced a reverse split yesterday. That is going to occur. I don't have the information on when that's supposed to happen yet. Let me see if I can get it from the news. Looks like the ratio, actually, they announced they're going to do a reverse split, but they haven't seemed to announce exactly what kind of reverse split, like what the ratio is. So it doesn't seem like they've given all the full information on that quite yet. All right, BKKT, this is starting to come down. Looks like we're headed towards that 30-25 area that I mentioned.
Sorry, I'm still diagnosing the scanner issue. Give me a sec.
No problem. SYM, this one finally fell out of bed. Going much lower. Might be done for the day or at least the morning. What am I using to get my levels, support, and resistance? I'm looking at previous price action, highs, lows. Usually it doesn't, I don't settle on just one high. It's got to be multiple times it's tried to, the price has tried to get over that level or found resistance at that level. So it's usually just looking to the left and seeing where we've had previous support and resistance. Also EMAs. I use EMAs too, and VWAP. That's also going to be areas of support and resistance. Lunar's going. Let me guess, to the moon. Yeah, it's back up over 8% this morning. 12.70 is the current price. It's like Archer is trying to figure out what's it's gonna do next here. Might end up pulling. PRFX is a downside halt now. This is vintage tool restorations.
That's the third halt of the day here on PRFX. This thing has had a halt in each direction, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Looks like SYM's getting support after hitting the 200 EMA. Still think this is going to end up going lower, though. Getting a pullback in some of these other names. TRNR, it's, you know, after that morning drop, it's kind of been just hanging out, trading inside that initial bearish candle. So still kind of sideways, but it looks like eventually this will end up going lower unless we get some volume to push it up and over VWAP. Oklo getting mentioned by Fairchild. The Crow saying DXYZ is at 40. And Archer's still trying to decide if it's going to go higher than 463. You seen much movement in some of these things? It looks like the market may have cooled off.
Yeah, it looks like the market really kind of sold off on that Russia headline. We popped back to about 585, and we're just kind of holding there.
Grant Cardone, the founder and CEO of Cardone Capital, is really making his thoughts about Bitcoin is known basically here.
Okay. Is he saying anything interesting, or is he just hyping?
Well, he's saying he says Trump administration is very serious about crypto. He doesn't. He hates cash. He says Trump is going to put food. He's going to. I think this is a mistype. Trump is going to put his food on the Fed's throat. I think he means foot.
Foot. Yeah, he does.
He says moving real estate to the blockchain. He says it's not doable, not approved by the SEC. He doesn't want to go to jail. He's not interested. He is asking who's.
Oh, you don't say he's not interested in going to jail. The color me shocked.
He said who's going to trade Bitcoin for a piece of real estate? Nobody. That's what his thoughts are. It says
TRNR is bouncing off that 65 EMA, by the way.
And I'm only saying all this because this is kind of making headlines across the news here. What was this one I was just looking at? Darn it. I had a really good looking. APLD, Applied Digital. That's getting support from VWAP.
Thinking about Trump's going to put a Big Mac on the Fed's throat. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. See, even he has his own MACD.
I'm like defenseless against that. There's nothing I can do. That's just a really good joke. Tesla popping to the highs here. Anyone trading Tesla is actually right back to where it was closing yesterday, just a little bit above that.
Yeah, we're also getting some. We're also going to be looking for some movement out of Tesla and some of these space stocks later on today when that flight test happens.
We're going to watch that on Happy Hour tonight, aren't we? Lunar here popping to the highs. A new HOD here today on Lunar.
Where did
BBAI? That's a blast from the past getting mentioned here. That is ripping on volume. Big Bear AI. Looking like they might be going with C3 AI. Those used to move together in the past. Maybe we're doing that again here.
I'm sorry, Mike. Sometimes my jokes don't always land.
I don't think it was horrible.
Rocket Lab, keep an eye on this one for some volume expansion. It's got a pretty interesting bull pennant happening here, and if we get this, a little bit of volume expansion, we're going to push past 220. Don't know how high we're going to go. Might go to that 2034 that I mentioned, but it looks like we are getting that a nice setup here, nice formation. Are they? What Russia, Saudi missed it? Are they going to nuke us? No, they're not.
I'm sorry for laughing, but when you read Lion Atlas's comments like that with just kind of a very deliberate tone. Oh, NBIS. It was just really funny. NBIS calls getting bought here. This is that AI name. This has been really good. 1750, definitely the buy area for that. I sold so many BBAI covered calls, going to lose my shares. Well, at least you're going to get called away at a gain. What did you sell those at?
You can always buy them back if you don't want to lose your shares, but that's up to you. Kind of just waiting to see what's going to happen with Rocket Lab. That's the only one that really has an interesting looking setup aside from Applied Digital, where that one is holding its VWAP. And now it's looking like it's starting to move up. Applied Digital, keep an eye on this one too.
That's APLD, right?
Yeah. Christopher, that's the one that manages the doomsday clock. Is that correct?
What are we, like 20 seconds to midnight on that? Yeah, the atomic scientist. Yeah. Yeah, that is the doomsday clock that he is referring to. Confirmed.
PRFX.
It's only moved away from midnight one time in the entire history of the doomsday clock. I believe it moved from 15 to 17 minutes back in the 80s. Anyway, you were saying?
I know. Well, because that was when Russia collapsed, the Soviet Union collapsed because of Chernobyl and a lot of other things. So, but I was mentioning PRFX. That one is trying to push over VWAP right now.
That was actually, we were able to scalp that here today, PRFX. That was a winner.
BTCT also trying to come back up. I think we're getting that move in Rocket Lab now. Looks like we're starting to get some increased volume. We're getting up to that 220. Take us to the sky. Well, Lion Atlas, hey, thanks for coming in here, but please be safe, my man. Yeah, PRFX, Daniel, that was a good mention. This one's starting to put in some new intraday highs here.
This, yep, sure did. This actually popped above that. And this pop is actually above the biggest volume stick of the day, which was our first move through VWAP there.
And Archer also going too. So is Tesla.
Tesla at the highs here. Actually, SPY might be trying to move higher here as well. Here is your SPY chart.
And Rocket Lab hit that 220, went a little bit higher to 2026. Now the intraday high. It looks like it wants to get over 2030, where there's a huge wall. A lot of sell orders there. APLD, that one's trying to come back up as well. Still hasn't lost VWAP. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of turnaround in some of these names.
Okay, so if we get a turnaround here, watch BKKT. We're almost at the bottom end of this range. You can see how much and how fast this stock moves. Maybe if we get a turnaround, we have another upside trade there in BKKT. We'll see.
Here's another halt for PRFX.
141.
Yep. So let's see. I know that when we've seen these halts in this one so far, it's been like halt up, halt down, halt up, halt down.
Yeah.
So when we come out of this halt, just expect that we could see a pull in this one, but at the same time, this is a new high that it just made, and that kind of looks pretty good. We might still push up, and if we do, I'd be looking at about 165 for the next resistance if we don't get it at 145.
Good stuff there. Real quick, I want to highlight this. I was mentioning this earlier. Crow saying, fantastic interview yesterday, Michael Saylor on PBD. Shout out to Crow for mentioning this. Shout out to Stay Focused, who sent me a clip. I'm going to share the clip here. If any one of you is interested in MicroStrategy or Bitcoin, it behooves you to watch that clip that I just threw the link for in the chat here. Michael Saylor basically explains how you can borrow money at no cost using the bonds, and also how people that can't buy crypto can still get exposure to crypto via MicroStrategy. Really, really fascinating stuff. Guys on another level. Crow, I agree with you.
APLD, this is doing the things we want. This is it was holding that support from VWAP, where it's turning around, looking to take out 884. That is the intraday high. Looking good here on APLD at the moment. The Archer is still trying to push up. 467 is the current intraday high on that one. Looks like it wants to go higher. SYM still trying to recapture that 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
MicroStrategy, another big move here above 400.
Izzy asking sound, please. You think? Think what? I mean, here I'll tell you one thing I know about SOU.
BKKT, folks, popped right back to its VWAP there on BKKT.
If NVIDIA does report good earnings, then I'd imagine sound would go as well, because this NVIDIA has a stake in SoundHound. So I think this stock is now pretty heavily tied to NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA does good, so too should this one. Yeah, I have BKKT trying to push over BWAP right now.
Yeah, that was a good one. We talked about that. We talked about that being kind of at the bottom here on BKKT. Any type of pop might be tradable. We'll see there. Good stuff there on BKKT.
We want to take out that intraday high that we have here of 37.20, and then once we get that, we want to see 39.75, maybe even 40.
Yeah, it does look like you're kind of running into some resistance here at the VWAP. So we'll see what happens here. BKKT also pretty huge spread on this, so be careful if you're trading this. Definitely want to use limit orders on this, not market orders. You're really going to kind of give up some of that by doing that spread. Big B's asking me about the stats for the short interest. Oh, so you can tell. Let me take a look here, and we'll see when the last update was. If we click on the short interest tab here, yes, as of they're 8 days old at this point now, which is not stale because comes every 2 weeks. Chris, looks like this is effective as of November 11th. So yes, looks like this was recently updated here for the short interest on SMCI. And actually, this has gone down by 5 million shares since the prior read on October 24th.
Christopher Anthony saying Lunar now over 13. And I'm also seeing Applied Digital getting really close to breaking out over that 84. This was a really good reversal off the VWAP.
I missed that one, unfortunately, but good stuff there, group.
Looks like BTCT is also slowly trying to take out 1540. I don't like the way these upper shadows look, but we are still moving up and we are still above VWAP. We need to see some more volume to get up to this into the 15 handle.
Good morning, Kayla.
IWM grinding to test pre-highs.
SYM grinding lower. BBAI pulling back. We'll see what happens at VWAP here on BBAI.
Yeah, sure enough, there it is.
Lunar still pushing.
What does this look like on a daily chart? So IWM, that was quite a nice move following the election, and then we came right back in. By the way, when we got that, that's the highest the IWM has been since November of 2021. So 3-year highs in IWM just recently. Now we're trying to recapture the 20-day SMA, which I currently have at 227.38.
Okay. Bring up IWM here. Lunar was still pushing there a little bit.
Joby is over 6.
TRFX is open, 167.
Yep. And it did the breakout. Nice. And it's probably going to halt again. And there it is.
And there it is, halted.
All right.
Well, so we've been back and forth on the halts here on PRFX. Do we halt up or down here? What do you think? What say you next?
If we unhalt and we pop up some more, 192 is the target.
Wouldn't that be great?
That's the pre-market high.
OKLO pulling off the top here a little bit. Let me just run through some of these stocks here. SMCI, that's the ETF. TRNR is still just kind of holding in here. ARCS flagging here. SNOA, AI. Lunar at the highs. Man, oh man, what a move. What a move in Lunar.
Lunar and a lot of these, some of these space stocks are doing pretty well. Like that Rocket Lab one, that was pretty good. Yeah. Didn't get the move to 2034 that we were looking for, but
we did print above 20 though. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, would have liked to see us go higher. Not sure what's going to happen here. There is a massive wall at 2030. It might be a good idea to kind of sell into some of the strength if we get some more here. Robert mentioning Root and KTOS.
Root printed above 100. Someone was calling for 100, I think, as early as yesterday.
Elon, thanks for that info on GSAT. I don't know what that deal is they had with them, but I'd have to look at that. Have I raised my buy price above 7 for Lunar? I suppose I'd have to at this point because this thing is getting pretty hot, isn't it? Wow, look at this thing. Also, it's really squeezing too. Let me take a look and see where I have for a buy area in Intuitive Machines.
Jay Summers, I also have an appreciation for Lunar being elite price. Totally get you there. I hear you clucking, big chicken.
I mean, since the election, I think that we can kind of kiss the $7 buy price kind of goodbye. But it could still come in, and if it does, I would be looking to see what happens at around $10. So if you need me to say my price target's or my buy price is being raised, then I guess I'd be interested to see what happens at $10. Maybe even get it at $10. Rocket Lab looking like this is going to try for a 2030 again. That's a good way of putting it, Izzy. Fortunately, I don't think the pop will be as messy.
That's terrible.
Yes, it is.
SYM might be bouncing here.
Oh, wow. That is quite a bounce. Right off of 35 exactly, too.
Yep. How is BKKT doing? Remember, we already had the one move back up to the VWAP. This is not terrible. It's really kind of riding that 65 EMA. Remember, this thing's really, really spread. So first of all, be careful. You definitely want to be using limit orders there and stay true to your levels. But this isn't breaking down here. We'll see if this has another attempt and a run through that VWAP.
Now, remember, the news with BKKT is that DJT is in talks to buy BKKT. So
right.
That's remember, there's nothing inked. It's just talks. It's excitement over just talks. But if we do get something definitive that a deal is being made or that a deal is coming, this will go higher. So if we get something that's more definitive, I imagine that I'm pretty sure BKKT will go higher.
Jay here. We can cover this real quick. Let's make sure I can force my chart up here. Dave, let's go back to a daily here. Dave, this is an island. This is a floating island here. 77 was really good entry here on Dave.
Morning,
oh my
Dave.
Goodness.
Good morning, Dave.
Sorry to hear, Amanda. Hopefully you get that ear infection cleaned out.
Yeah.
Have a good one. We'll be around. So here, Jay mentioning another fintech name. What?
TRNR. This one's trying to move now. We're getting some volatility.
Dave here, another fintech name with good earnings last week. Really like looking for names that have reacted well to earnings and pulled back to let the MAs catch up. Christian Framhertz does this well. So this, Jay, would you really consider this pulling back? I mean, this is still extremely extended from those moving averages. Curious to know what your thoughts are here. I do like that this was a great buy. 76.5 to 77. This would have been a great buy. Floating island. I think that this probably goes up towards 94 from here. Just my thoughts, just by looking at the chart there. Really good stuff, though. Stay focused. Ryan, Palantir has the big boy pants. Palantir has had those big boy pants. Look at this. Move up off yesterday's intraday low, reclaim the VWAP, another leg higher here. Look for this to maybe kind of slow down at 62.25 in there. We'll see.
Yes, RX mentioning that RFX reopened and then halted down. It initially had a pop up to looks like 180, and then as he just said, came right back down to 153 or 154 where it halted. Also, I was just looking at another one that was doing what we wanted to see. Rocket Lab. That one actually popped up to 2054 and is now coming back into closer to the $20 area. But that was the move we wanted to see. That was it popped over the high from yesterday.
Okay, really good stuff there. Jay mentioning 95 to below 80, Ryan. That's a decent move. Yeah, you're right about that. I'm just saying, based on what you were saying about letting the moving averages catch up, yes, that is a substantial pullback. I agree with you, but the moving averages didn't really catch up, did they? I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I think I can understand what you're saying about the moving averages catching up. To me, I'd rather play the island formation here. This is actually a really good mention. I'm sorry I'm not in this.
TRNR. This one now pushing up to VWAP.
Got it.
And VWAP I currently have at about 416, which is right in the same area where we were getting resistance out of the open here, and just into the final minutes of pre-market.
Yeah. So I have VWAP on the prop at 401 and VWAP at 418 here on TradingView, just like you do.
So it's trying to get the VWAP, yeah. Looks like SYM, after hitting 35, that one's trying to turn around. Probably will go back to VWAP at the very least. Don't know how much more we're going to get out from that one. Archer came back in after hitting 467, currently getting support from VWAP, but the MACD is showing that it might continue to roll over some more. And what else? HCWB, that one just continues to leak. That has not been able to rebound. APLD looks like it was about ready to take out 884. Oh, yes, thinking about it, Malley's put idea is playing out nicely. We had mentioned yesterday that we were getting a lot of housing and builder economic reports this week. So we had today the, let's see exactly which ones were today. I think it was housing starts and building permits. Let me see here. Yes, housing starts and building permits. Those came in below estimates. Hurt the builders a little bit there. So that was a good one. Yep.
TRNR, big time pull right here. Big time pull off that VWAP test. Look at that. It went right to the VWAP, just like you said, and then yanked.
Yep. They do that.
They be doing that.
They be doing that. And it looks like what's next here? Looks like Applied Digital still trying to do that 884 break. So close now. Archer, after testing VWAP, came back up into the 460 area again, trying to take out 467. We'll see if that's in the cards. SYM having a nice turnaround, getting close to VWAP. So if we hit VWAP, don't be surprised if this thing turns around and starts selling again, just like TRNR did. TRNR, right back into that consolidation I was in. A brief pop up to VWAP, and then it's like, okay, that's good enough. Back to this. TRNR ready to big jump, maybe? I don't know. The kind of the thing I was looking for was just to go to
PRFX is open, by the way. PRFX is open and actually trying to bounce, interestingly enough.
So from the last candle that was halted, it got as high as 180 before it reversed, and it's probably going to halt right here at 160.
Couldn't hold it there. They took all that stock.
Yep. So 180.
ARCS is also getting mentioned here. Bring that up while PRFX figures out what it's going to do.
It's kind of figuring it out right now.
Did I flip away from it too quickly?
It looks like it's trying to make a decision right now.
Really needs to get above 169. I feel like 180 is going to be your day high there. 169 might send it. Let's see, do I have that candle correct? Yeah.
Applied Digital broke out new intraday high at 885. That was a good one. Had a good pattern. Good
that was
setup.
APLD that you're referring to, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And it's still going. Yeah, that was a good one. And if it can take out all these sell orders here from between 190 and 890 and $9, you could see it climb further into the 9 handle.
Yeah,
like,
wow,
really,
this really was a good. You're absolutely right about that. 13. This was tremendous. APLD going for that 9. It looks like volume looks pretty good here on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla odd, you're right about that.
I'm going to find a level here. Okay, so 948 could be a potential top out. for APLD or a breakout. So maybe when we get to that area or over 9, start thinking about, maybe taking some profit selling into strength.
PRFX is trying to go for that 180 spot.
Yeah.
Do we get that? What do you guys think? Do you think we get 180? And a break there's a little bit of size there. It might pop above.
Yeah, unless 180 actually causes it to do one. A 180.
I got it.
Okay.
Took me a sec, but I got that 113. A little bit of size there at 179 too, just in terms of looking at the tape. Would love to see the volume really kind of step up here. Here we go. This is what we need. Let's see if we go through that 180 spot. They took some of the stock there.
I'm just really trying to make some more microproof jokes. Yeah, APLD, that thing, 895 looks like it wants 9. And you were looking at PRFX still.
Wow, yeah, because they're hitting 180 here. 180 and 179 have some size, and they're actually hitting them. There's 180. They're hitting it. All right, PRFX. Good stuff there.
They bought all the shares, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
We'll just leave it here.
Yeah. Yeah, 192 though. That's the level I think we're going to next if we can break over this 180. And Archer trying to get to 467. SYM actually very close to its VWAP. So after hitting 35, it's about to make a $3 move. It's already up to 295 from that level. Just continues to be a really good trading vehicle this morning, even if it is scaring people with those massive drops. AI, that was a great mention. This thing continues to make new highs, 31.39, the current daily high, intraday high. PRFX, here we go.
True.
Give us 192. Izzy's taking the trade.
Big pull on PRFX, going to halt here, 154 if it holds. Up, it did not hold.
Yeah, but those upper shadows. Be mindful of PRFX, those upper shadows in the past 3 5-minute candles here. Unless the current candle that we're in goes higher and takes that out, this looks like we might be topping out here in PRFX.
Kale here mentioning BKKT definitely having resistance here at VWAP. It's not breaking down, and if we zoom out here, it's actually not breaking this $30 bottom range of this channel, so that's pretty good. We'll see if it breaks this VWAP and can continue. I think it probably goes towards 37 again. No guarantee that happens, though. Actually, I'm going to readjust this line here, too.
All right. So TRNR seems to be enjoying a lot of support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's not going to last forever. That if it can't get back above, let's say 385. I feel like this is going to fall through the 65 and go lower.
Yeah, I'd be worried if it loses any of this area that it's kind of getting support at here, this 360-ish area.
Yep.
13, can you repeat what you said for Brit here about the upper shadows?
So when I'm referring to upper shadows, I'm talking about the wicks on these candles, and I'm using a 5-minute chart. So what I was looking at, that was which one exactly?
PRFX, I believe. I can bring it up here. We'll do the visual.
Yeah.
Together.
So
these.
Yeah. So those wicks right up there. We've seen this many times before, where if we get 3 of these to close in a candle on, it could be any time frame really, but I use the 5-minute. This is usually a indication that the stock is topping out and it is on the verge of rolling over. So far, that looks like that's what's happening here, since we've just now been suspended to the downside. The only way that I was looking for this to negate was if this current candle that's halted right now ended up breaking up to 192 like we were looking for. That was the only saving grace I was looking for with this one. But since that didn't happen, or we're halted to the downside, I think we're going to see a VWAP test coming, maybe even lower.
SYM back to its VWAP. Archer, you were about to call. Let me bring that up.
Sure. That's a new intraday high, 468. And great mention on SYM. Not only is it about to test VWAP, but we are getting a pretty good curl here in the MACD. This one would have to, I think, take out 39, which is above the VWAP, in order for this to really get going into the 40 handle. And we're getting some movement now, so we'll see if that's what happens. We have about another minute left on this current candle here.
BKKT looks like it's coming back towards that VWAP. We want to see if it can break that VWAP. That's really what we're interested in.
And Kale was also saying that DJT along with that, so we are moving together. Yeah, that current candle in DJT is pushing over the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Pre-market highs today are going to be 32.18 and 32.27. So somewhere, let's just kind of go in the middle of those two prices and say somewhere around 32.25. We should see some resistance in DJT if it pops up there.
DJT trying to break the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, literally stopping right there. BKKT right at its VWAP. So those are both at areas here.
Yep. Let me take a look at the SPY, see what other news is coming out here.
Well, SPY continues to trade higher here, right? And so does the NASDAQ. Actually, someone just called it the NASDAQ went green. Izzy, NASDAQ is positive now. So market looking better here.
Yeah, just shaking off the comments from Russia. So
shake it off.
I mean, look, we're let me look at my my chart to see if we're actually in that consolidation area that I was referring to earlier. Actually, we went through it. We are now at the pre-market, not quite the pre-market highs, but the highs that we made around 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's where we're right at that level now. Call it 587. 587 is where we are. Oh yes, Archer much higher now. 472. Looking good. Looking good. Keep an eye on SIM as well. It looks like it wants to try for at the very least VWAP. It's kind of setting up to push up to there, but I don't know if it's going to have enough volume to break over VWAP and stay above it. Not sure yet.
Real quick here. BKKT. This is a wild one, still kind of flirting at that VWAP level. Watch for the volume's kind of dried up here, but if this volume gets a little bit of a pump, watch for this to go higher here. Could do it quickly. SOAR, this was the penny stock we talked about earlier. Look at this backside of the move, probably done here. SOAR.
Jonathan saying SMCI is setting up for the break. Let me see what the break of what exactly might be a resistance area. We're talking about like the intraday high, which would be 28.55. I think that's what you're referring to. Man, AI, that was a great call. This thing has done almost had no pullbacks in it. Just great day on that one. All right, getting a little bit more upward movement in SYM very slowly, I'll add. Looks like HCWB may have found something of a bottom at 108 and is slowly turning around, trying to come back up to VWAP, which I have at 128. Yeah, Izzy, that was you, right? That mentioned that was a good call. Archer 472 is the high. Big reverse in oil, a knife. Let me take a look at the XLE. I want to
This
see
move on AI is insane, dude. Insane.
I see what you're talking about.
PRFX is open.
And it's kind of just hanging out there. No real volatility out of that halt. But wait for it. It might be coming. Wayfair really moving. You know what? That thing has been absolutely hammered. So if we're squeezing here, I would not be surprised.
It
24.
is.
Yeah. I mean, the short interest and days to cover has been reduced since the last, the last amount of info was given on this. Can't think of the actual word, but yeah, days to cover is lower. Short interest is lower. But I think it's getting a lift because of Walmart, indicating that the consumer is still resilient. I think that's the word they used. BTCT has a pretty nice setup here. You could even draw a trend line from the after we opened. You could draw a trend line from the wicks we got there through the peaks that we've had since then. You could see that we're on the verge of trying to break over that trend.
Is this BTCT?
Sir, yes, sir. So if you go to, you go to a smaller time frame, look at the price action, you see that trend from those highs that we've been making throughout the morning. So you just draw a trend line from the highs of the earliest wicks down through the, there we go. Look for a break over that trend line.
We'll see if we get it.
I gotta say, it's been another wonderful morning.
Yeah, it actually has not been terrible. SPY actually kind of ripping to the highs here too. I know, I'm sorry I wasn't as active today, dealing with some work stuff here on the side, but
it's okay. I'll just keep running my mouth and telling folks what I see. Everybody, how you doing today? It's been a pretty good day. Been a pretty good day. It looks like PRFX is also halted again.
SPAI, good call here, Market Sniper. This right above the VWAP here. PRFX halted this one to the downside.
And
SYM back to its VWAP.
Yep, almost. Well, it's okay. Now it just popped up to it. Right as you said that, I looked over and it popped up there.
BBAI trying to go for some new highs here. Walmart back to new highs. This is why we entered that short really small at the beginning. See where we are at the end of the day. Maybe add to it. Four for four. Nice job, Izzy. Way to go.
Awesome. How many of those were in the one you mentioned there? For some reason, I can't think of which one it was. Was it? Gosh, why can't I think of it? We've been looking at so many names, I just can't think of it.
TRFX? BKKT?
No, it was one that he. No, it was the AI. How many of those were in AI? Izzy. Average Joe also saying, "Look at AI." Yeah, we've been looking at it. We've been looking at that one.
He might be saying that to me. I have been kind of slacking on AI because I've been looking at some of these other tickers today.
And TRNR, this thing is after that pop the VWAP, it's done nothing. But yeah, I don't know which direction it's going to end up heading. Still waiting for some move in BTCT. And Archer, a couple of red candles. That is a lot of sell orders up at 483 on Archer.
This is a good question here. We'll take some time to answer this one. CCG Trader 25 asking, do you guys always use a stop loss What is the quickest way to sell with your stop loss on? Raise your stop loss. Okay, so I think I know what you're asking here. So, do you always use a stop loss? I always have an idea of a stop depending on what the trade is. I don't always place one because sometimes my stop is a mental stop. Sometimes on a long-term trade, I won't even enter a stop. Like, for example, I've owned Apple since 2014. I have no stop set. The stop is a mental stop. If Apple stops being an amazing business, then I won't own the stock. I don't need to set one. For some of these day trades, I will often set a stop before I set a sell, right? So if I enter one of these on a, like, let's say, let's just use SMCI as an example here. You take an enter here on VWAP, I might set my stop down here at 26 before I even set a sell. And then I will often use like a flatten now button on a day trade in order to close a position. And I'll also cancel other orders. So your question here is, if you put a stop loss on, what's the quickest way to sell? I would still say the market order is quick, but
that's also what flatten does.
Yeah, that's what flatten does. I think what you're trying to avoid here, though, is you're trying to avoid putting a stop out there. And then if the stock is running, you're trying to sell into the strength. And then if it knifes and comes down and hits your stop, now you're short. Right? Is that what you're trying to avoid? Trailing with a really good suggestion here. You can always use a trailing stop. You can always use one cancels the other. It's called an OCO order.
Yep, and there's also orders, brackets. We call those brackets too. And there's also order sends order as well. So if you get a fill and you have it set up to where once you're in that stock, it'll automatically create orders for a stop and a profit taking. There's a number of ways you can set all this up. For me, same with Ryan. I do use stop loss, not always, and I do raise my stop loss. The quickest way to sell with a stop loss on is going to be to flatten. All those things. Just make sure that when you are deciding to get into a stock, you already have an idea of where you want your stop to be. You might not have an idea of where you want your profit, where you want to take profit yet. But if you're going to jump into something before having an idea of where you want to, cash out, if you're going to, risk it that way, at least get a stop set at the same time, so that you're not just wildly jumping into something that just instantly knifes when you buy it and hurting yourself. All about how you manage your risk. It looks like we're about to get either a recapture of VWAP from HCWB, or it's going to turn around and go lower here.
Sorry, dealing with too many problems outside here. Good answer, though. Good question.
Very good question. Yeah, and Zbev, we're right there. We're right there at VWAP right now. It's trying to get over it. How did that BTCT go? Oh, guess what? BTCT broke that trend line, and we're looking pretty good here.
Why do I keep? Did you say it again?
BTCT.
I keep typing this wrong. It's driving me insane. Driving me insane.
That was a nice trend break. Let's take a look at some of these. Okay, so Rocket Lab, that one's not giving up yet. I don't like the way the MACD looks. It looks like it's going to curl over, but it, sometimes it doesn't cross. It'll end up just bouncing. So that might be something we're getting here. We need to see the price take out 2054, and it looks like it's trying to push up there, but the volume's also pretty low. So temper expectations as well. SYM sideways now. HCWB, that one's trying to figure out if it's going to go over 130 or not. Be careful on that one. BKKT pushing over VWAP right now.
Here's the big move. This is actually what we were hoping for. See if this breaks out 34.5. Here we go. Here's your test right here.
I guess we'll have to. That's BTCS, as Jonathan Cooper's mentioning. Okay. Let me see what's going on here. All right, and HCWB turning red. BKKT, that one's pushing. We might see some of these other names lose some, like go down just because there's a rotation out of those and into the BKKT and DJT trade. We saw that happen yesterday with SMCI.
Sorry, I'm still working on something here, 13. Holler at me if you need something. I apologize for this.
No worries. PRFX went down to VWAP, held above it, trying to turn around. A lot of these names starting to pull a little bit. Archer really, lost the 470 area. That one's coming back down a little bit. MACD is also showing it's potentially curling here. SYM still trying to hold above 37. PRFX, no, I already mentioned that. Looks like a lot of things have slowed down. How much have we traded in SPY today? It seems like it's a pretty slow day. Oh, we crossed 10 million shares not that long ago. We got a headline here that Iran has agreed to stop producing near bomb-grade uranium. The IAEA reports Iran's enrichment uranium stockpile grows to 6,604 kilograms. It discusses stopping further expansion of 60% enrichment beyond 185 kilograms amid a conditional agreement on additional IAEA inspectors. Take that for what you will. Christopher saying, I wonder if Rocket is making in sympathy with Rocket Lab. It's possible that there's a mix-up. Some people might think that they're trading Rocket Lab when they're actually trading a mortgage company. No, I don't think that's the case. I don't see the same kind of price action in Rocket as we're getting in Rocket Lab. I think RKT may be more of a short squeeze. Not that Rocket Lab doesn't have high short interest, but I think that Rocket companies, that's more of what's happening here. There could be a relationship move here because of confusion, but I don't think that's it's anything beyond that. Looks like Nvidia. Yeah, right.
The entire Qs have made a comeback here today. I mean, the entire NASDAQ got blasted earlier and came back. I'm unsurprised to see Nvidia trading with that.
Buy the dip.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that there was someone, I think, earlier saying, get ready to buy the dip. Get ready to buy the dip. Buy the dipping.
What they knew about Russia?
Buying the dip has worked.
Yeah, and then there's going to be one day when that buy the dip doesn't work.
But until then, it's going to work.
Oh, that day is going to be so terrible for so many people. Yeah, a lot of these are just kind of going sideways at the moment. No,
just monster.
Jay Rice, it happened. I saw it happen here in this very market when Stellantis was on the NASDAQ. They had the same ticker letters as Tesla, and then there was also another ticker.
Tisnea Life Sciences, dude.
Yes.
TLSA.
That one
You know how many
really
times
got
I
people
bought
screwed
this
up.
dumb stock?
Oh my gosh. That
Stupid.
yeah, that it's probably going up because people are still getting confused with it.
OKLO getting a mention here. We talked about this one, folks. This above the yesterday's intraday high, 2250. I believe. What is this? The trend line? No, that's just the horizontal level here.
Lovely. Thanks for the mention there, John, on Rocket Lab. That we have new high a day 2073. You'll love to see it. Rocket chips.
Rockets are sweet. Not gonna lie.
SYM actually back to its VWAP and trading over it. PRFX fell through its VWAP and it's halted to the downside. What a wonderful, wonderful morning.
Not bad on the day trades again here today. Green again.
And this is all in an environment where we are seeing some really low volume in the broader market and low participation. So the fact that we're absolutely hitting these and doing well, and folks tell me how well you're doing in the chat, but it seems like we're nailing a lot of these things. And that being said, once we get once the show starts to end and we get closer to lunch hour, expect a lot of these to start looking really crappy and beginning to pull as folks wrap up their trading for lunch and maybe even for the day.
We do have Anne-Marie coming up here in about 5 minutes. So let me know if there's any stocks you folks want to get some trades set up on from Anne-Marie. We can go ahead and do that.
KO.
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 All right. Let me add that to the list here.
This is the one I was talking about yesterday about the potential short-term bounce in this one. Maybe going as high as 64 before it reverses and goes lower. I just like it was under 20 RSI, but when we closed yesterday, and we're starting to reverse here, at least trying to get this base going. Needs to recapture the 500-day SMA, and I'd just be curious if she sees anything in the options that are interesting. But it looks to me like this is trying to turn around.
Okay, added Coke.
G-Rice saying
added Amazon.
No, Christopher, we had some other ones too. Rocket Lab is a great stock, but the thing is that it is also one of the overvalued ones. Like it does 100 million in revenue, but it's worth like 9 billion. And I still think that that's gonna, it'll grow into that valuation eventually. But it's at the moment it's pretty overvalued.
ACRS, this is a move above VWAP here. Market Sniper, this is actually looking pretty good.
Jay Summers says Lunar at 1350, and I know you said that you sold somewhere. Did you sell everything? I mean, sold Lunar. Okay, so I don't know if you sold everything or not, but 1335, man, that's a great haul for the day, dude. It's a great haul. SYM over VWAP, slow moving but still strong. Let's see if it can get back up to 39. Seems like that's a big resistance area right about where it's at, just before 39. So wouldn't surprise me if we see a little bit weakness right there.
UAL continuing to trade higher. This thing is so extended.
Oh, that thing looks like it's about ready to be a really good short.
That's what I'm saying. Adding that to the Anne-Marie.
Yeah, I would just.
I mean, look.
What do you think about this, Anne-Marie? And she's watching right now going, all right, I've already got you guys.
PRFX, excuse me, halted again to the downside here.
SYM did end up going lower, losing VWAP now. So there was that resistance area that we identified there. TRNR, we lost that 65 EMA. Looks like this is about ready to start making its way lower. We have the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, that's next. That's slightly beneath the 330 area. So that'd be the next area of support, but I still think eventually we'll see that lose support as well. PRFX is done for the day. Runaway guys. Let's see what that looks like right now.
Where is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin 93,000. That's decent.
PRFX, those upper shadows did not lie once again. So ever since we got that that I mentioned there, this has been going down. Lost VWAP. It's trying to get support from the 65 EMA, which is currently getting right now enough to at least lift it back up to the VWAP. Don't know that it's going to end up breaking above VWAP, though. I still think this will end up going lower, maybe even under $1 pretty soon.
S&P futures holding nicely here, 59.15. Really nice move off the 58.60 low. Actually, market kind of looking strong here. Volume looks pretty good too, at least given what the move is here.
Didn't we, Jonathan Cooper mentioning news about Mara? Didn't we mention something like this? I don't remember if it was here on this this show or if it was Happy Hour. But they did an offering yesterday as well. It looks like 700 million, and now they're talking about doing another 850 senior convertibles.
Yeah. So they announced a 700 million convertible note. They upsized it due to overwhelming demand from 700 to 850.
Yeah, and why this is good news that they're having to make an offering to raise cash is because they're likely just going to use all that money to buy more Bitcoin. That's kind of how MSTR's strategy has been.
I'm telling you, 13. Watch that clip that I sent. I'm gonna send it to you. Just to make, I don't know if I did. I'm gonna Slack it to you. It's not long. Definitely worth watching though. Crow mentioned this earlier. I gave this out a few times here today, so really good stuff. Okay, it is. Let's see, what time is it? Yep, it is about 10 o'clock. That means it is time here for Anne-Marie. Shoot, I should have gone to the washroom before we did this, but that's okay. Anyway, any closing words for the group here, 13?
Folks, you guys did really well. Had a good morning.
Yeah, we did.
Don't lose those gains. If you feel like the market's looking weak and going to stay weak throughout the day, maybe go outside and have a nice rest of the day and turn the computer off and hold on to those gains. I'll see you folks tomorrow.
Okay, sounds really good. Take care. And if you're a dork like me, be sure to enjoy Oak Island tonight. I cannot wait. And depending on where you are, it might depend if you can go outside cold up here in the north. All right, 13, take care. We'll see you. 13 space leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's go ahead and bring her on. Anne-Marie, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've actually had a pretty good morning trading some of these active names here, but I'm really curious to get to some of the option plays that you have for today. What are we looking at here today?
Well, I'd love to look at what the traders asked for first. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. We did have a couple of requests from the group here, and we can do them in any order that you deem necessary. Coke, Amazon, and UAL all are going to be those three here. United Airlines, which I see that you have pulled up here, feels extremely extended.
Yeah, it is. It's up over 100% out of its range. So it's hitting actually a 5-year high today. And so the thought there is, when in doubt, zoom out as we wait for my charts to load. So yeah, I think traders would love to see this move to 100, but it is very extended. And so what it should do is perhaps sit inside of the box that I'm going to draw here. Old resistance, new support, that looks like about 80. So the question is, are you up for a gamble? Or, yeah, earnings don't come until January. So let's take a look at a cheapie and see if, let's see what the end of December gives us. Now, no, we need January. So here's the thought process. Cycle events normally have a bit of a run now into about the 20th of the month, and then it sort of plateaus, pulls back a little bit. We have a Santa Claus rally. We have loss harvesting. We have portfolio rearrangements. And so the week after Christmas normally sees a little bit more of a dip. And then just before the end of the year, they start buying up again so that everybody's portfolio, from the manager's perspective, the investment manager, is holding all the stocks that have been doing well. So
now, do the days of the week that those dates fall on matter at all, Anne-Marie? Because looking ahead here, Christmas Day is Wednesday, so that the 26th and the 27th are going to be that Thursday, Friday. And then those last 2 days before the New Year's is Monday, Tuesday, 30, 31.
Yeah. So it's usually about, a lot of them are not working so that they will adjust, but I don't have the specific data on which day of the week, whether it matters on the day of the week. So let's shoot for January and let's say to ourselves, hey, what if this comes back to 80? Can we get ourselves a cheap trade that allows us to do a 1/3? What is that? 7.5. So we'd need, it might take a little bit of, it might take that takes a little bit. So let's do it differently. Let's say 82.50 and then 72.50 and then 67.50. So this one is about 90 cents, but it's $90 for a potential $1,000 move, right? Because it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be very nice if you want to trade the fade into support. Now, the flip side of that is they could have something fantastic happen. They might have great oil traders. And if they do that and it breaks out of this box, the top end, I would do the half back here. The top end looks like maybe the halfway point of the box, so maybe 108 to 109. But I also believe that this is extended. And what we would want to do is say, all right, what happened the last time we had old resistance, new support, and then blowing through it like we have? Do we have news driving this?
Let me pull it up here real quick. Sorry, didn't have that ready for you. United Airlines today, Tuesday, United sees nearly a 30% surge in travel to European Christmas markets. We also had TD Cowen maintaining a buy and raising the price target to 125 today. United also said, well, that was the bookings to European destinations are up 30% from 2019 and almost 10% year over year. So yes, we have data directly out of United Airlines itself about increased travel demand as well as an upgrade.
All right. So a couple of things are driving that. One, the dollar is at very strong highs. And so people with money are going to go to Europe where they're going to get more bang for the buck. And so that is, that's probably driving that space. And I'm probably pretty sure it's being driven by stock market gains. But if you're looking at the other side of that trade and you're saying, okay, let's see if it gets to 110.
By the way, really quickly, I don't know if this matters in your calculus at all, but there are some recent price targets here on UAL that actually go up to 150 that were put on recently. So just looking at, we had Barclays went to 150, Goldman Sachs went to 119, and as I mentioned here today, Cowen went to 125.
Yeah. So what price targets do when they get a first upgrade is they boost, they hit that social media, whatever, and people go, oh, I'm going to take a little. But they are usually weekend buyers. And so what that means is they don't have a ton of confidence in the trade, and they are looking for maybe price action to keep really running higher, else they're going to get out immediately. So I don't normally like those, but I do like looking at it about 30 days after an upgrade to see how the traders are doing with that from an upgrade perspective. It would be kind of neat if Benzinga had a scan that said performance post upgrades.
Okay.
And performance post downgrades, and just look at it in 30-day increments and see what that looks like. So I find that to be,
I'm sure we can do that, because one thing that we have right now is we basically calculate the upside or downside based on the current price. So for example, and I'll just use the real world example that we just talked about here, that TD Cowen, that price target to 125 represents 33% upside. So what you're saying then is basically track the price from the day that this came out. I'm sure we could do that.
Yeah.
Let me add that to the notes here.
Yeah, I think that would be a very big tell. And then really deeper than that is who gave us the upgrade. And that, some analysts are really great at that, and some analysts aren't.
Right.
So this target that they normally put out is usually a 6-month target. And so sometimes it's a yearly target, depending on the analyst. And so if it starts moving even faster, they come out and they revise the upgrade with new price targets, but that usually maybe happens once a quarter, if at all. So that being said, that's what I would look at there. The key thing to watch, yes, it does look really overdone. Yes, we should see some sellers come in. How about hanging on to that put butterfly, the 1x3x2 butterfly, and let's see how it ends the week. Put that in your back pocket and say, if I get all the way up here to 100, that butterfly is going to be cheaper, way cheaper. And 2, you'll be able to see if that 100 contains some sort of big spike. And if it's got a spike, then you go, all right, I'm going to hop in here and see if this will work. Now, the measured move is up at 98. So I'm going to put an alert there just for grins. And we'll check it out. We'll see how it goes. All right. The next one, somebody said Amazon.
Amazon.
So I have this idea about Amazon that we have a short iron condor here. Now we put it on for about 20% of the range, which is, I like it to have more, but I felt that was the safest in terms of upside pressure moves or downside pressure moves. And since we put that on, it's made 50%. And so a lot of people are thinking, hey, Amazon's going to break out and continue to run. That might be true, but I don't think it's going to do it in one fell swoop. I really, really don't. So Yes, it's bullish over the long run. Yes, it's sitting in a really nice price action event. However, needs to do some heavy congesting. It's on the outside of the tail, and there have been no buyers up at these highs in the last 3 weeks. We've seen it fade off of its highs, and this is no different, right? We actually are opening the week almost at the high, which is a little bit bearish. So my thought is this has a fade to the downside. So the question is, how do you want to play it? And to me, it's a bit of a sticky space because the market is running hot. Having a position that's got, negative delta on it isn't delightful. So once again, I would say, why not consider an iron condor? There's nothing here telling me that it's going to hold 200 and break away, but it's also not telling me that it's going to break 200 and fall to the floorboards. Everybody knows that between Walmart and Amazon, we're pretty much hamstrung in terms of where we buy things, right? Except for Target, right? And
Costco.
Yeah, exactly. For a big box place, right? So Costco's actually on my list today. So I would say an iron condor, not super sexy, but it will give you, forward motion. Now, here's the thing. My opinion, and $6 of coffee will buy you $6 will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I think she's wrong, I think this has got some juice on it, here is a butterfly that I posted for the folks in I don't even know why this isn't moving. The folks in the Benzinga Pro platform, and it's the 225, 235, 245. It's a standard butterfly. You could also make it a 1x3x2 with these numbers, because I don't see the chart moving higher than 235 at this juncture, certainly into January. If you did that, it probably is going to be rounded about the same price. Less downside, but still rounded about the same price in that motion. Now, if you think it's going to fade, 185, 175, 170, that's a 1x3x2, simply because, I think it's an outside shot that it goes to 175. And so I think it's okay to stabilize it there. But that's my thought on Amazon. If you want to go to January, wait, when's the next earnings event?
I can get you the exact day here on Amazon.
I have February 6th.
Okay, that's probably right, because that comes from Thinkorswim. We get our data from the same spot there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also have February. No, I actually have it unconfirmed for the 30th of January. Okay, so they have not confirmed their earnings date. It's still estimated. That's all.
All right. So estimated, you could take this very same iron condor. You can get more than 20% on it. And, you just collect money every day as the charts chop around.
Okay, real quickly here, Tom has a question. Tom, I'm glad that you asked this, because I think you asked this earlier and I missed it. Is it better to do a 1x3x2 butterfly as opposed to a traditional butterfly? I know it's cheaper, but is there more risk involved? Like, what is the benefit?
Okay, so the beautiful benefit of the 1x3x2, it can be cheaper, not always. But what it does is, what you're looking for is the likelihood that it's never going to get past your middle strike. So you're looking for a very high probability that it stays at your 175, and the cheaper event, or the 235, and the cheaper it is, the more likely you collect all of the top. It does not carry any risk. It's the same risk as a regular butterfly. It's what you pay for it. So there's no margin risk. And so the question is, do you want it cheaper? And are you expecting it to really stall out at that price? And that's, I like to put them there where I go, you know what? Chances are it's, never going to get there.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be doing a really nice job if it comes in close, because I'm going to be able to take profit faster.
Okay. Tom, let me know if that answers your question. Good one. Okay. Did you need another one to take? We looked at Amazon, United Airlines, and then Coke was the other one that the chat suggested. I know 13 was waiting on that one.
Yeah, here's Coke. So Coke's chains are kind of bleh, but here's the thing. Whoa. Okay. I did not expect to see a chart that looked like this, because, don't we love our Coke products? We do.
Used to.
Yeah. So, oh, look at that. Shock. 1-to-1.
Almost
what
as
about
if that was planned.
What about that? So here's the halfback of this. That's just my eyeballs dividing it in half. And here's the volume point of control. This is a place, take a look. Sellers became buyers, became sellers, became buyers, became sellers, became buyers, and then sellers again, and became buyers and sellers and buyers and sellers. Obviously, they're doing something. Last time it came in here, it ran like a house of fire. So I suspect traders are going to take this on the bounce. So this looks...
So there is a macro thing affecting this. So remember, RFK being appointed as the health and safety, or health and human services appointment, he was making comments about wanting to ban high fructose corn syrup and force manufacturers to use cane sugar because it's so much healthier than the corn syrup. Now, I don't know how this is going to end up kind of being put into practice. I understand why he's saying that, and I agree with him. High fructose corn syrup is terrible for me, and cane sugar is much better. But I just don't know if he's going to be able to force companies to do that. That's, I think, what some of this worry is.
So that's a good point. Interestingly enough, I will tell you this: sodas that they make in Europe have totally different compositions. Even Coke, Pepsi, all of them have different compositions because, of course, they have socialized medicine, and they're much more interested in keeping the citizens healthy so that they don't have a healthcare burden. Now, whether high fructose corn syrup is markedly worse than cane sugar is, stands to be all kinds of debate. Sugar converts quite quickly to glucose regardless. But nevertheless, I suspect that what Coke will do is naturally pivot. And so here's the thing: about, what is it? More than half of the water products on the shelves are owned by Coke. And so I think there's going to be a natural push, and they are probably ready and willing to pivot if they were going to. So I still like this. So what would the clean trade be? Well, let's say you want to buy Coke, right? The best thing to do, in my mind, if I were looking at this, I would see what that... Wow, that's not giving us any premium.
Yeah.
The
this is my big worry about Coke.
Yeah. The 5750 is a great place for you to potentially consider buying, because every time it's lost this 58 in recent years, it's bounced quite significantly after a small pullback. If you're thinking to yourself, hey, I want this to actually make money, you could, and this would be probably a little bit expensive, you could say, hey, I'm going to buy the 60, 65 call spread. I don't like those at all. If you wanted to do a butterfly, thinking, hey, there's no way it's going to go to, 67.50 or whatever, it still only gives you $2. It gives you $2 of a debit, but even if it goes to 67.50 with this butterfly, you're still going to make $2.50. So is it going to go there? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's going to hop to 65 and then shuffle around. You could say, I'm just going to buy the 65 calls and see what happens there. Or you can go further out and say, I'm going to participate on a longer term formation to the upside. So here's the thing about options. Unless you're looking at a implied volatility in the 50s and prices over 100, you're not going to get good premium. If you have prices over 6, 7, 800, you're going to get premium, even if the vol is a little bit low, the implied vol. But that's something that you have to look in your space when you do your screeners for options. You want to say, hey, show me what's over $100. And then you can go down and go, all right, let's see what the implied volatility looks like. And you can scan for that in Thinkorswim also. So sad to say, I don't have anything sweet and spicy. Wait, they don't own Dr. Pepper. That's right.
No.
That's a totally different company. Yeah.
ERPR. Well, I can't remember what the ticker is for that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And then Pepsi is another one. Pepsi's big.
That's
PEP,
maybe right.
PEP. Yeah. Big thing here about Pepsi is that they own Frito-Lay, which is the largest snack distributor. So they're way more into the snacks than someone like Coke. Option chain might look totally different.
Wow. This chart looks like it wants to break down.
Sure does. Actually, it looks like kind of a head and shoulders type formation.
Sure does. It sure does. All right, let's do the measured move to the downside. It shows us outside of the volume point of control. This is the old resistance zone. This could go to 145 easily. Low volume node might catch a snag at 150 because that's a big fat round number.
Yep.
So let's see. 150. Yeah, the premium is not going to give us a good butterfly there. Unless, let's see what this one looks like. 3. No, it's still going to be expensive. Yeah. So no butterflies there, but it could be another iron condor. You could do 145 to 140. 11 cents. Good golly. No. Yeah, that's hideous. Yeah, nothing there. Nothing there. And again, look at the vol. 21% implied vol. So, yeah. No cigar. So let's take a peek at Costco.
Okay. My favorite store.
Yeah. These guys. Okay, so we know they want to hit 1,000, right? We know that that's what they want to do. We know they're grinding through a pocket that's about, let's see, 67. about $60 wide, right? And so if we look at something that's $60 wide from this point at 925, that gives us, let's go for, ooh, that's a nice December one. I think we might have talked about that one before. So let's go down, she scribbles. All right, moving along. 2680. We could say 980 to 990 and 60, 850, 860 to 855. Wow, that's a huge credit. Oh, knucklehead, 860 to 850. All right, that is a huge credit. Wow. So I think we might have talked about this a little bit. Notice how I'm squeezing in this form. It's much tighter than the December one. And I'm leaving that because we have holiday volatility that might be likely, but this January one also looks good. And the delta on it is -5. So we've got a 94% chance with the current calculations that this one is going to expire worthless. And that might be very, very nice. That's a very nice trade. I would put an alert on the short strikes and just pay attention to what things might be doing overall from there. All right. Let's talk about SMCI.
Okay.
They
Got some news there.
Yeah. So let's talk about what was that news?
So the news here, the most recent news is that they did pick up another auditor. This time they're picking up BDO, which we see the commercials for on CNBC. So remember, Ernst & Young quit. That was their last auditor. Now they've picked up BDO, whom they've worked with in the past.
Okay. So good for BDO. Not really sure it's going to matter for these guys. Because what they're doing is image cleanup right now, right?
I'd say.
Right.
Cleanup too, it would appear.
Yeah. So here's this big news candle. I like drawing a 50% marker on those because, again, it's sort of like a weird little halfback thing that happens with traders. And so have a peek. We also could have this moving on a sympathy play, right? Because of NVIDIA, what NVIDIA is about, X, Y,
Well,
and Z.
the other thing is that they're a customer of NVIDIA. So they have book issues. They're a customer of NVIDIA. Now we're going to have NVIDIA's earnings. Part of me wonders if we're going to learn anything on whether or not these guys are paying them or not.
Gotcha. That's a good point, sir. So let's say, let's take a look. Oh, I'm running out of time. Is it okay?
Oh yeah, we're having such a good time. We went over here. I don't think there's anything on. Why don't you keep going? I'll check and see if there is. I'll take responsibility.
All right.
Everyone knows how nice you are. I'll take responsibility for screwing up here.
Listen, I will take the bullet for you anytime.
Oh God.
Anytime.
Secret Service Agent Anne-Marie.
Okay, so the halfway spot up here is rounded about 30. And notice, sell, 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 week after week after week after week. So if it breaks here, we likely have a $6 move to the upside. If it fails here, we could see another low. And so the question is, what is trend telling you? Well, trend's telling me I'm in a tight spot. And you'll see why it is I'm looking at these chains in 2 seconds, unless they've shifted somehow. But if we stare this down, what we're seeing is a region where the chart could do either thing. So you could literally swing for the fences on either side, thinking about a bigger move down. So if we looked at 18 on the downside and 38 on the upside, we would be right in the middle, right? 18 and 38. If we choose December and we go to 18, it's 82 cents on the put side, 179 on the call side, and they are almost equidistant from each other. They're $10 apart from each other. That's in the middle, right? Yeah, that's huge. And so, wow, a lot of people are banking on this thing moving up. If it moves down, it's going to be cataclysmic. Yeah, that's an expensive strangle. If you say, hey, I'm going to move it to 38 and then 43 and then what is that? 3 and 4. That's, I have that as $6. So 49. You could buy a call butterfly and then just go flat out with the long put, if you're so inclined, about $1.20, but unlimited. If this put moves halfway down to being at the money, look at why I'm choosing a stock that is only $28. Look at the implied vol. It's 155 for December. That's a month and a half away or a month away. And so these sorts of things help you with pricing in the chains and getting yourself in a space. So you might say, you know, I don't want to spend $81. I don't care if it's got unlimited. It doesn't have unlimited. It could go to 0, of course. You could do a butterfly here and then pick something like 2250 to 1850. That's $4 to, what is it, 1450? 1450, and it would be 40 cents. So it would be half that. And there's $400 of upside sitting right there. So on second glance, that one's not too bad, right? So it's going to, if it moves savagely in either space, you're going to be in great shape, because the middle strike, it's going to be a big deal for it to hit it. I mean, a really big deal for it to hit it.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. And good news. There was nothing on the other end. So none of us are in trouble. So we're all good here, Anne-Marie. So that worked out really nice. I'm glad we're able to take the extra time. Really good stuff there. We're going to see you on Friday again. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So get ready. We will see you then. Thanks again for everything, folks. Viewers that are out there, be sure to check out our other event live streams. I went ahead and put them there in the channel, and I'm going to redirect there now. Anne-Marie, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday.
See you.
All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for your support. Stay green, stay safe,